Chapter 433. Monstrous Ghost Chi surged from behind. The entire sky turned pitch black, as if thunderclouds were approaching. One? Reading one? Kim Watson? S reads H? U? C? See the Ghost King closed in, cutting off their escape route. Let's go! Lin Tiandao grabbed by Chio's hand and charged forward. There was no time to think. The path ahead might be dangerous, but the path behind them was a dead end. Clang! A manifestation appeared in his sea of consciousness, and millions upon millions of saber beams shot toward the Ghost King. Then he took a step forward. The Ghost King roared and shattered all the energy sabers. Then it charged in with a mighty radiance. Rumble! Lin Tiandao, by Chio, and by Chio charged into the turbulent sea. From time to time, waves would roll up around them, like the hand of the Grim Reaper. Vortexes appeared beneath their feet, as if they could devour everything. This is the Sea of Chaos, by Chio said. It's possible to leave the sea from here. That's right. The Sea of Chaos, as its name implied, was a place of extreme chaos and danger. This chaotic sea had existed since ancient times. Many cultivators had ventured through this place to temper themselves. Unfortunately, very few of them had made it out alive. Thus, this place gradually became a dangerous place and was recorded in the annals of the cultivation world. Don't jinx it. Lin Tiandao rapped her on the shoulder. He only had 10% of his true energy left, and his face was pale. Rumble! The waves rolled up like the hand of an ancient devil, causing everyone's heart to palpitate. Standing on the surface of the chaotic ocean, waves surged as far as the eye could see, water splashed everywhere, and gales swept out. Even someone as strong as Lin Tian felt apprehensive at this moment, thinking to himself that the ominous territory recorded in the ancient books was indeed terrifying. Roar! The Ghost King roared, closing in on them in the blink of an eye. Monstrous Inchi swept out in all directions, dyeing the seawater with a layer of black, causing people's hearts to palpitate involuntarily. Clang! Yang Qi slashed backward, unleashing a wave of saber light. One? Reading 1 CC by Chio held up the upper-grade immortal artifact and secretly activated it with the lunar origin, unleashing an even more terrifying aura. She already knew that the current Ghost King had sensed her origin of extreme. Naturally, she no longer concealed it and activated the high-grade immortal artifact to its limit. Boom! As soon as the high-grade immortal artifact moved, the sea became even more turbulent. More waves surged up and pressed forward. However, the Ghost King was too terrifying at this moment. It was almost unstoppable as it swept through everything. Chi! 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 Yang Chi's saber light shattered, and the light from Bai Chio's high-grade immortal item vanished without a trace. Lin Tian glanced behind him. He took out a Baodan and swallowed it, quickly recovering his true essence. Then he activated the Heavenly One Soul incantation and looked around, carving runes into the void. Bang! Bang! Yang Qi and Bai Chio staggered backward, their blood energy surging. This monster! Bai Chio gritted his teeth. The three of them ran all the way, avoiding the waves. Up ahead, a rumbling sound echoed out, and when they looked over, their faces fell. In front of them, a huge whirlpool appeared on the surface of the sea. It was 100 feet in diameter and sucked in everything around it. Get out of the way! We have to get out of the way! Bai Chio said, her eyes wide. The sea had existed since ancient times and was filled with danger. Furthermore, the chaotic sea had been described in the ancient records as a dangerous place. Based on how powerful the vortex was, if it sucked anyone in, they would be teleported to some unknown dimension and would be stuck there for over 100 years. In fact, it was even possible that they would die a horrible death. Lin Tian and Yang Qi's eyes were very serious as they flew higher into the air and avoided the vortex. Roar! The Ghost King roared, charging toward them. Its eyes were bloodshot as it stared at Bai Chio, filled with greed, desire, and excitement. Bastard! Bai Chio cursed. Reading 1 CC, let's keep going, Yang Qi said. Don't worry about it. Don't stop it. Lin Tian on Dao. Bai Qiu and Yang Qi's eyes flashed at the same time. Although they didn't know what Lin Tian wanted to do, they nodded. The three of them weren't slow, and they quickly passed through the huge vortex. The Ghost King roared and chased after them. It was extremely fast, and in the blink of an eye, it was at the center of the vortex. That's enough. Step back, Lin Tian suddenly said. He turned around and quickly formed a seal with his hands. Instantly, silver patterns appeared in the void. These were the formation patterns he had carved along the way. At this moment, they all came to life, completely sealing the space around them. Buzz! Light shone brightly. He raised his right hand, and the first layer of the four-symbol seal appeared, pressing forward with great momentum. After that, he didn't stop. With a thought, he called out the water-steadying pearl. As soon as the water-steadying pearl was activated, the chaotic sea first fell silent, then became even more turbulent. Under Lin Tian's will, 99 huge water dragons rushed up, roared, and all of them came to the Ghost King's body and wrapped around it. Lin Tian's eyes flashed. The formation patterns, the four-symbol seal, the water-steadying pearl, and all of his methods were used together to suppress the Ghost King. He didn't want to use these methods to kill the Ghost King because it was impossible. The Ghost King was too powerful after entering the Sea King's corpse, and these methods couldn't even injure it. At this moment, he only wanted to use these methods to push the Ghost King into the huge whirlpool below and let the whirlpool devour it. Boom! His hands moved together. The formation patterns shone, and the four symbols Dao diagram annihilated a large amount of Yin Qi. The 99 water dragons were unusually fierce. At this moment, on the surface of the sea, the water-steadying pearl's power became even stronger. Roar! The Ghost King roared and struggled with all its strength. Lin Tian suffered a backlash. Blood gushed out of his mouth, but he didn't stop. Even if I can't hurt you, I can still kill you. He gritted his teeth. Because of the previous four-stage Baodan, he had recovered nearly 40% of his true essence. At this moment, he activated all of his true essence and poured it into the water-steadying pearl. At the same time, he activated the four-symbol seal and suppressed the Ghost King. The Ghost King roared, shattering strands of formation markings and crushing huge dragons, but its ghost body was continuously being pressed down. Finally, its legs sank into the vortex and were wrapped up by the waves. Suddenly, a strong force pulled it and dragged it down crazily. Roar! The Ghost King roared and struggled even harder, wanting to re-enter the vortex's range. Lin Tian gritted his teeth and activated the water-steadying pearl even more crazily. For a moment, the chaotic sea became even more turbulent. Waves of water rolled up, turning into large dragons that crazily drowned the Ghost King. These large dragons condensed the power of the water-steadying pearl. Although they couldn't hurt the Ghost King at this moment, the impact was very terrifying. They drowned the Ghost King again and again, suppressing it deeper into the vortex. Buzz! He raised his right hand and took out the four-symbol seal again, throwing it at the Ghost King. As soon as the four-symbol seal appeared, it immediately annihilated the large amount of Yin Qi released by the Ghost King, forcing it down again. Roar! The Ghost King roared and was suppressed again. Waves after waves rose and crashed against the shore, causing the entire chaotic ocean to boil. The Yin Qi became denser, and the Ghost King struggled, rolling in all directions. Rumble! In the blink of an eye, the chaotic sea became even more turbulent. The huge vortex directly expanded. It was originally only 10 feet in diameter, but because of the Ghost King's Yin Qi, it suddenly became 20 feet wide, and there were even more powerful waves rushing up. Lin Tian's expression suddenly changed, and his body shook violently. At this moment, there was a terrifying force dragging him into the vortex. Damn it! His expression changed, and he activated the water-steadying pearl to resist such a strong force. However, the Ghost King's Yin Qi caused the vortex to spin madly, and one wave after another shot up, throwing the wind and clouds into chaos. At this moment, he was running out of true essence. Even with the water-steadying pearl in hand, he couldn't resist such a force. He fell directly into the vortex, falling even faster than the Ghost King. Lin Tian's Bai Qiu rushed over, a superior-grade immortal item hovering above his head. Powered by the essence of Lunar, he grabbed Lin Tian's arm and pulled him back. The Ghost King roared as more than half of its body was caught in the vortex, and it released even more yin qi toward the two of them. Lin Tian pushed Bai Qiu away. "Let's go. Don't worry about me." At this moment, because of the Ghost King's yin qi, the vortex in the water was releasing an incomparably terrifying force that not even a peak immortal connecting realm expert could stand up to. Bai Qiu grabbed Lin Tian tightly. How could he let go? Clang! An energy saber slashed out, shattering a large amount of the Ghost King's yin qi. Yang Qi activated the strange phenomenon in his sea of consciousness and flashed over. He grabbed Lin Tian's shoulder and fled. This man was very strong, but at this moment, he was powerless in the face of this huge vortex. Even with all his strength, he couldn't pull Lin Tian out. Lin Tian was anxious. The chaotic region became even more violent. Pillars of water shot up as if they were going to shatter the sky. The Ghost King roared as it was finally pulled to the bottom of the sea by the vortex. Layers of waves surged up and covered it. Lin Tian was the closest. He saw with his own eyes that half of the Ghost King's body was torn to pieces by the vortex. There was no hope for it to survive. This made his heart tremble. Was this the power of nature? Human strength was unpredictable. With a boom, another wave rolled up and covered the three of them. Let's work together and activate the water-steadying pearl to protect ourselves. Lin Tian on Dao. He knew that there was no hope for the three of them to escape from this vortex at this moment. Bai Qiu nodded. Yang Qi also knew that the situation was bad. At the same time, they poured their true essence into the water-steadying pearl. A faint barrier of light enveloped the three of them, barely isolating them from the seawater. Almost at the same time, a huge wave came crashing down and covered the three of them. For a moment, the three of them felt the world spinning. A huge tearing force came from all directions, as if it was going to tear them apart. Their vision was pitch black, and they couldn't use their divine sense. They could only use their true essence to activate the water-steadying pearl to form a barrier of light. They were then pulled down to the bottom of the sea by the spinning force of the vortex. After an unknown amount of time, the tearing force outside their bodies finally weakened. Bang! They seemed to have broken through something and fell into a dark gorge. Looking around, the dark gorge was a little dim. Occasionally, water droplets would fall, and the air was moist. Chapter 434. Standing up, the three of them still felt a little dizzy. Only after 10 breaths did they feel better. Full text to read, still alive. Bai Qiu patted her chest with a look of lingering fear on her face. For better or worse, you are still a king. Lin Tian wanted to say that he was still a king body, but he stopped midway. Look at your useless appearance. What did you say? Bai Qiu stared at him. Lin Tian didn't want to bicker with her and looked at Yang Qi. Sorry for dragging you into this, he said. Yang Qi had helped him a few times before, either for Bai Qiu or for him. When he was trapped in the giant whirlpool, this man could have escaped by himself, but he didn't do so and risked his life to help. He knew that it was because he had helped him before, but he was still grateful. This kind of man was worth befriending. Yang Qi was a man of few words, so he didn't say anything. He looked at Lin Tianyi and then looked forward. An idiot and a piece of wood. What a congenial fate. Bai Qiu muttered. Lin Tian turned around and gave her a knock on the head. What are you muttering about? Bai Qiu held her forehead and stared at Lin Tian angrily, then turned her head away with a snort. Lin Tian smiled, feeling amused. He felt very relaxed when he was with this girl. He shook his head and began to look around. I didn't expect there to be such a space at the bottom of the sea. The tearing force of the giant whirlpool just now was really terrifying. If it wasn't for the stilling water pearl supporting the light screen, the three of them would have been torn apart by that water source. I vaguely remember that the light screen supported by the stilling water pearl brought us here. I wonder where this place is. He looked forward. There was only one path in this dark gorge, and it led straight ahead. It seems that this is the only way, he said. Let's go. Bai Qiu muttered and led the way. Lin Tian nodded at Yang Qi and followed. The air in the dark gorge was very humid, and the light was very dim. The three of them walked, and water droplets fell from above, dripping on the ground. In the blink of an eye, half an hour had passed. All around, the air suddenly became a little cold, and a faint blue light came from the front. The three of them were visibly moved as they cautiously walked forward. Not long after, they rounded a corner and saw a huge ball of blue flames burning in front of them. The flames seemed to burn fiercely, but the surrounding temperature was exceptionally cold, as if it could freeze one's soul. This is dark blue flame? Bai Qiu was shocked. The dark blue flame was born from the Earth's core. Its temperature was colder than ice, but it could burn everything. It was a rare flame. Yang Qi's eyes glittered as he recognized the flame. It is indeed that kind of flame? Lin Tian nodded. He stared at the blue flame and walked forward. Hey, don't go near it. This thing can even burn an ordinary immortal connecting realm expert to death. Bai Qiu grabbed him. Lin Tian stopped and stared at the blue flame in front of him. Don't worry, he said to Bai Qiu. This thing is useful to me. Useful to you? What are you doing? Bai Qiu stared at him. The dark blue flame was a very dangerous flame. Ordinary people would die if they came into contact with a trace of it. She knew that Lin Tian was very powerful and was not an ordinary person. However, when she heard Lin Tian's words, she still did not understand. Or rather, she was more worried. Beside her, Yang Qi was also puzzled. Just watch. Lin Tian. He took a deep breath. His eyes flashed as he slowly approached the dark blue flame. He was an alchemist who had reached the 4th grade. Naturally, he was more familiar with flames than others. There were detailed records of the dark blue flame in a medicine encyclopedia. There was also a method to refine it. Now that he had encountered a ball of dark blue flame here, it was a blessing to him. If he could refine it, his alchemy level would definitely increase. Gradually, he approached the dark blue flame and stopped half a meter away from it. At this time, he could feel a chill all over his body. Even his back was cold. Bai Qiu stared straight ahead with a cautious expression. He even took out a high-grade immortal item, afraid that something would happen to Lin Tian. Beside him, Yang Qi also stared ahead. His eyes flashed, and there was a faint blade in his right hand. Clearly, he was also paying attention to the situation ahead like Bai Qiu. If anything happened to Lin Tian, he would immediately intervene. Don't worry, I'll be fine. Lin Tian noticed something behind him and smiled at the two of them. He looked back at the dark blue flame again. He took a deep breath and silently activated the medicine encyclopedia. He reached his right hand forward. As his hand got closer to the dark blue flame, he felt colder and colder. His heart felt like it was going to stop beating. However, as the medicine encyclopedia activated, this feeling gradually weakened and then disappeared. Finally, his right hand reached into the dark blue flame. Hiss! Lin Tian trembled. He instantly felt his entire right hand go numb. He could not help but take a deep breath. Bai Qiu's expression changed, and he became even more nervous. He stared straight ahead at Lin Tian's hand that was in the dark blue flame. Soon after, she was surprised again because Lin Tian's hand that had reached into the dark blue flames was actually completely fine, and it was completely intact. This guy. She stared at him. One had to know that the dark blue flame was extremely terrifying. Ordinary immortal experts could not withstand it. But now, Lin Tian's entire right hand was in the dark blue flame, and nothing happened to it. How could she not be shocked? Even someone as calm and taciturn as Yang Qi couldn't help but reveal a hint of surprise. Lin Tian put one of his arms into the flames and circulated the pharmacopoeia over and over again until he got used to the bone-piercing cold. Only then did he make the next move. He slowly put his left hand into the flames as well, and then left leg, right leg, and after a quarter of an hour, his entire body was covered in the dark blue flames. His entire body was covered by the blue flames. Looking at this scene, Bai Qiu's eyes widened. She was almost petrified on the spot and could not say a word. Lin Tian actually walked directly into the terrifying dark blue flame, and nothing happened to him. Heavens, this is a freak, she muttered. Inside the dark blue flame, although Lin Tian was not injured and was not in danger, he did not feel good. He felt his entire body go numb, and every movement was extremely difficult. The dark blue flame was extremely cold, as if it was polar ice. But inside it, he could clearly feel that he could turn into ashes at any time. Buzz! A faint light surrounded his body. He activated the medicine encyclopedia even faster, and it flowed through his body over and over again. After another quarter of an hour, he began to absorb the dark blue flame outside his body. The dark blue flames leaped like fire spirits and entered Lin Tian's body. Then, under the light of the medicine codex in his body, the dark blue flames slowly disintegrated and fused into his flesh and blood like specks of stars. Such a scene caused both Bai Qiu and Yang Qi to be moved. He is actually refining the dark blue flame? How did he do it? Bai Qiu exclaimed. Yang Qi was also shocked, but he quickly regained his composure. He said to Bai Qiu, "Quiet, don't speak again." Bai Qiu nodded, obviously understanding Yang Qi's meaning. He was worried that talking would disturb Lin Tian. After all, the dark blue flame was indeed dangerous. If there was even the slightest accident during the refining process, it could lead to unimaginable consequences. Buzz! In front of them, Lin Tian stood inside the dark blue flame. His entire body was covered by the dark blue flame, and it entered his body bit by bit. Then, he sat down cross-legged and focused on activating the medicine encyclopedia. The medicine encyclopedia was the most ancient scripture of the alchemists. It was the culmination of an ancient alchemist's life's work, and it had unimaginable effects. At this moment, Lin Tian was activating the medicine encyclopedia. The dark blue flame was like a docile pet, methodically entering his body. Of course, even though the dark blue flame did not cause any disturbances when it entered his body, the extreme coldness still made him uncomfortable. At this moment, his entire body was ice cold. Every inch of his skin was colder than ice. He felt as if he was about to suffocate, and even moving his lips was difficult. However, he was not an ordinary person. He endured this pain and used all his strength to activate the medicine encyclopedia even faster. The dark blue flame continued to enter his body, and then it was refined into his flesh and blood. Qi! 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 As he activated the medicine encyclopedia, the dark blue flame entered his body, and streaks of fiery light appeared on the surface of his body. He had refined the dark blue flame. This did not help his cultivation at all, but it had an amazing effect on his cultivation as an alchemist. As the dark blue flame continued to be refined into his flesh and blood true yuan, he suddenly felt that it would be much easier to refine the level 4 energy sealing pill than it was when he was a level 4 alchemist. However, during this process, he had to endure unimaginable pain. After the dark blue flame entered his body, it was as if it wanted to freeze his internal organs. Even his flesh and true yuan felt extreme coldness. Then came the excruciating pain, which was 10 times more intense than when he was constructing his god meridians. Just a while more? He gritted his teeth and endured. The medicine encyclopedia activated even faster. Outside his body, the dark blue flame entered his body bit by bit and gradually decreased. Very quickly, 4 hours passed. After 4 hours, the dark blue flame outside Lin Tian's body had completely disappeared. All of it had been absorbed into his body. However, he did not immediately stand up. Instead, he continued to sit cross-legged on the ground. At this time, the icy flame of the dark blue flame was still intertwining in his body. This caused his body to be stiff and painful. It was difficult for him to move, so he could only continue to activate the medicine encyclopedia. After that, another 2 hours passed before he was finally able to move and stand up from the ground. Bai Qiu heaved a sigh of relief and quickly ran over. "How are you? Are you okay?" she asked with concern. Yang Qi did not move from his spot, but his gaze was fixed on Lin Tian. Lin Tian nodded at Yang Qi, then looked at Bai Qiu and smiled. Excellent. He stretched out his right hand, and with a thought, a ball of green flame appeared, causing the surrounding space to distort. Bai Qiu's expression changed. This is alchemy fire. A level 4 alchemy fire? Chapter 435. Pill fire is the most basic offensive technique of an alchemist. It is divided into 7 levels, from weak to strong. The colors are yellow, purple, green, blue, red, and black. No pop-up window. Reading a book? 1. K. N. S.H. U. As the eldest princess of the ancient Bai family, although Bai Qiu is not an alchemist, she knows the basics of alchemy. At this moment, seeing Lin Tian show a green pill fire, she was shocked. The 4th level pill fire, generally speaking, only a 5th grade alchemist can have it. How can you have it? Bai Qiu stared at him. Because I'm a 5th grade alchemist. Lin Tian smiled. After refining the dark blue flame, his alchemy level had a breakthrough, directly reaching the 5th grade alchemist level. What? Bai Qiu's eyes widened. She knew that Lin Tian knows alchemy since the Wuji Gate, but she didn't expect that Lin Tian's alchemy level has already reached the 5th grade. A grade 5 alchemist was an expert even in the 3 alchemist clans, and all of them were great figures that had lived for 200 or 300 years. Yet now, Lin Tian had actually attained the grade 5 alchemist realm before the age of 20. Not only her, but even Yang Qi was shocked. A 5th grade alchemist is very rare in the second heaven. Bai Qiu stared at Lin Tian and suddenly rushed forward. You brat, tell me, who are you? Not only do you know alchemy, but you also know how to engrave array patterns. You actually cultivate martial arts, alchemy, and array at the same time. Bai Qiu couldn't help but be surprised. In the history of cultivation, there is basically no one who cultivates all 3 paths at the same time. There is no end to learning. It's not a bad thing to learn more. Lin Tiandao. That's not necessarily true. If you learn too many things, it's difficult to reach the end of any path. Bai Qiu curled her lips and stared fiercely at Lin Tian. This lady is not discussing whether learning more is a good thing or not. I'm asking you, where did you learn all these things? Some things can't be learned without a teacher. You must have a master. You've guessed it all? You're amazing. Lin Tian smiled. He felt that this girl's confident look was rather cute. Although he did have a master, the Tao of formations and the Tao of pills that he had learned had nothing to do with that old guy. It was completely passed down from within the divine sword. Sure enough, when I met you before, you said that you came out from the deep mountains and rarely entered the mortal world. Could it be that you've always been cultivating with your master? She stared at Lin Tian and said, speaking of which, is your master powerful? She clenched her small fists and seemed to be a little excited. After all, Lin Tian was very powerful, and to be able to teach such a disciple, the master must not be simple. She felt that Lin Tian's master should be at least a powerful existence in the 7th heaven of the Tong Xian realm. Reading books in the first place? 1. CC, I'm not sure how powerful they are, but they can easily beat up your ancient families. Lin Tiandao. Bai Qiu stared at Lin Tian and burst out laughing. You really know how to brag. The ancient families in the 2nd heaven have all been passed down from ancient times. Their foundations are shockingly deep, and there are great Tao realm powerhouses overseeing them. You actually said that your master can easily beat such a large faction? Do you think that your master is a peak great Tao realm powerhouse, or an existence that surpasses the great Tao realm? Bai Qiu covered her small mouth and snickered. You even guessed my bragging? You're amazing. Lin Tian gave her a thumbs up. Bai Qiu snorted and continued to ask Lin Tian. Lin Tian refined the dark blue flame, and the 3 of them continued to walk forward. Along the way, they did not encounter any danger. Other than the dim space and the humid air, nothing else was affected. After the 3 of them walked for a while, a large internal lake suddenly appeared in front of them. The surface of the lake was sparkling, and it was actually brighter than other places. At this point, Lin Tian stopped in his tracks and the stilling water bead in his arms suddenly moved on its own. This is? He was slightly surprised. The stilling water bead vibrated, and traces of light seeped out, pointing directly at the sparkling lake. This is mystic water? Bai Qiu was moved. Mystic water? Lin Tian was puzzled. I told you to study more, but you don't know anything. You're really stupid. Bai Qiu explained. Mystic water is also known as the essence of water or sky heart water. In short, it is the essence of water. Legend has it that the stilling water bead was born in mystic water, so it has the ability to control water. In addition, mystic water can also condense mystic water stones. These mystic water stones are very mysterious and can be used to store mystical abilities, secret arts, and so on in advance. It is comparable to the martial fusion runes made by powerful array manipulators. Read a book? 1. Moreover, this thing can also store Dao marks, formation runes, pill seals, and so on. Although its value is far inferior to the stilling water bead, it is still very shocking. It can store mystical abilities, secret arts, and even Dao marks, formation runes, and pill seals in advance. Lin Tianwei was shocked. This was the first time he had heard of such a thing. It seemed that this thing was much more powerful than the martial fusion runes. After all, the martial fusion runes could only be used to fuse mystical abilities and martial skills. Dao marks, formation runes, and pill seals could not be fused in. Of course! Bai Qiu nodded. He stared at Lin Tian and said, I see the stilling water bead in your pocket is shining. Thinking about it, this stilling water bead should have been obtained by the Sea region ancient king in the past. Since this place can produce the stilling water bead, then there must be mystic water stones under the mystic water lake. This thing is very difficult to find even for ancient clans and sacred lands of inheritance. It is very precious. Quickly, let's go down and take a look and take all the mystic water stones. Lin Tian nodded. He used the stilling water bead to break open the surface of the mystic water lake. Suddenly, a pure white light overflowed from below. Looking over, there were many transparent crystals condensed below. They were like glass, and there was a faint light lingering around them. There really is. Bai Qiu was pleasantly surprised. These are mystic water stones? Lin Tian narrowed his eyes. With a rough glance, there were about 100 cubic meters of mystic water stones below. Bai Qiu clenched his small fist. The mystic water stones accumulated by our Bai family only add up to a dozen cubic meters. But there are so many here. It is enough to inscribe many mystical abilities and secret techniques. If we auction them, we can sell them for a sky-high price. The three walked to the bottom of the lake, and each took action. They took all the mystic water stones and carefully put them away. After some calculations, they each took about 40 cubic meters of mystic water stones. Mystic water stones used to inscribe killing formations. I wonder how effective they are. Lin Tian muttered to himself. Bai Qiu tilted his head. What are you talking about? Lin Tian shook his head. He put the mystic water stones into his stone ring. After breaking open the mystic water lake, he continued forward with the other two. After about 2 days, the three reached the end of the dark gorge. They could see a cave in front of them. Outside the cave, harmful water was flowing, but it did not flow in. This made the three exclaim. They had to admit that this was a miracle of nature. There was a special flow inside the dark gorge that prevented large amounts of seawater from entering. Let's go, Bai Qiu urged. Lin Tian's true yuan had recovered. He used the water-steadying pearl to support a light screen, enveloping the two of them and shooting out of the dark gorge. After about 10 breaths, the three of them emerged from the sea and rose into the air. The light screen supported by the water-steadying pearl disappeared. Lin Tian put the pearl away again. Whoosh! A light breeze blew, bringing with it a bit of moisture and a salty smell. They were standing on the boundless sea, but they could see the continent in the distance and hear the cries of birds and beasts. We're out. We're already far away from the sea, Bai Qiu said happily. The three of them were not slow. They soon left the sea and returned to the continent. This was an old forest surrounded by flourishing trees. There were many demonic beasts living here, and the demonic energy in the air was very dense. Yang Qi nodded to Lin Tian and did not say anything. He walked on his own and soon disappeared into the depths of the old forest. This guy's like a block of wood. He didn't even open his mouth. Bai Qiu muttered. Lin Tian knocked her on the head. He helped you block the Ghost King's attack before. Don't you know how to be grateful? I know, but... Bai Qiu looked in the direction Yang Qi left and said, Actually, it's understandable. That person is undoubtedly a descendant of the Yang clan. When the clan was in trouble, it was destroyed by Tai Xian and Wan Tong. All these years, he should have been living in hatred. It's normal for him to be silent. Maybe he'll be better after he gets his revenge, but that's too difficult. Tai Xian and Wan Tong were ancient giants of this heaven realm. Wanting to destroy these two forces was as difficult as ascending to the heavens. We just need to surpass the great Tao realm, Lin Tian said. He knew that the strongest people in the few major forces were at the great Tao realm. As long as there was a great Tao realm expert, or even a peak great Tao realm expert, it would not be too difficult to destroy such a major force. It's easy to say. Is it so easy to surpass the great Tao realm? Bai Qiu curled her lips and said, On the path of cultivation, the immortal ascension realm is the true starting point of the martial path. And this realm stops at least 80% of cultivators. Firstly, ordinary people can't reach this level. Secondly, even if they can, 99% of cultivators will be buried by the heavenly tribulation. Think about it, it's already so difficult to reach the immortal ascension realm, let alone the great Tao realm. Do you think he's an ordinary person? Lin Tian Dao. He doesn't seem like one. That person definitely doesn't have a king body, but his battle prowess is terrifying. He's not inferior to my brother. Bai Qiu muttered. Lin Tian shook his head and walked in another direction. Bai Qiu curled her lips and quickly followed. You played in the sea region. Why aren't you going home? Your family must be worried. Lin Tian Dao. Bai Qiu immediately became unhappy. What do you mean by that? A beautiful girl like me who is capable of causing the downfall of a country is running around with you, not fearing hardship or tiredness. You should feel honored. You should be happy. You should be reluctant to let me leave. But you actually want to chase me away. That's too much. Are you a man? Lin Tian was speechless. He really wanted to push this girl down and spank her, but he rolled his eyes. He was really defeated by this girl. All right, I'm grateful. Young miss, you can follow me as long as you want. I'm fine with it. He said, That's more like it. Bai Qiu nodded. Lin Tian was speechless, but he smiled. This girl was lively and wouldn't be bored if she accompanied him. The two of them left the old forest. In the blink of an eye, they spent a few days together. On this day, a few powerful divine power fluctuations suddenly appeared in the distant sky. 3 old men appeared in front of the two of them. Qiu, why are you walking with this person? One of them said in a deep voice. He stared coldly at Lin Tian, not hiding the killing intent in his eyes at all. Chapter 436. The people from the Bai family had arrived. They were all in the realm of immortality, and they stared coldly at Lin Tian. No pop-up window, Qiu, come here. One of them said. Beside him, the other 2 people closed in on Lin Tian. Clearly, they wanted to kill Lin Tian. Lin Tian narrowed his eyes. The 3 of them were only at the early stage of immortality. He didn't care about them at all. Ancestral patriarchs, don't do anything rash. I've already talked to him. All our grudges have been settled. Bai Qiu stood in front of them. The 3 of them heard that, and their faces darkened. Grudges have been settled? He killed so many people from the Bai family. You want to settle it with just one sentence? The 3 of them looked gloomy. Lin Tian had destroyed several of the Bai family's strongholds and killed many of the Bai family's powerful cultivators. How could the 3 of them let Lin Tian go? After all, the people who had killed Lin Tian, including the 7 heroes of the Bai family, were all from the collateral family. Suddenly, 3 faint waves of divine power surged and sealed off every corner in all directions. Lin Tian raised his hand. Sword light flickered, and a sonorous sound rang out. Bai Chio turned around and looked at Lin Tian without saying a word. Lin Tian blushed with shame and put down his raised hand. The three Bai family members snorted and stepped forward. Killing intent filled the air. "Chioler, step aside," one of them said. Bai Chio looked at the three of them. A ball of light rushed out of her body and turned into a divine seal. Suddenly, the three of them changed their expressions, and their faces darkened. Divine command. Ancestral patriarchs, don't make me order you, Bai Chio said. The three old men were all-powerful cultivators from the collateral family of the Bai family. At this moment, Bai Chio was displaying divine command. As the symbol of the Bai family's princess, she had the authority to order anyone in the collateral family. Even in the direct family, she had absolute authority. However, she usually didn't care about her identity as the eldest princess. Regardless of whether she was from the collateral family or the direct family, she had always respected her elders. At this moment, the three old men wanted to attack Lin Tian. She had no choice but to use her status as the Bai family's princess to pressure them. Their faces darkened as they glared at Lin Tian. After a while, they stepped back, but their killing intent was still there. "Thank you, ancestors." Bai Chio nodded and put the Xinwu token back into his body. "The clan head wants you to return to the clan. The people from that bloodline are here. Your matter will be settled in the near future," an old man said. Bai Chio's expression darkened as she bit her lip. After a while, she turned around and looked at Lin Tian. She smiled and said, "Psychic, I'm going home. I've been very happy during this time. Thank you for playing with me." Lin Tian frowned. "What's wrong with you?" He always felt that Bai Chio's smile was very forced and that there was something wrong with his mood. "It's fine. I'm the princess of the Bai family, a peerless genius who looks down on the second heaven. What can happen to me?" Bai Chio said. Lin Tian was stunned and speechless. He took out the stilling water bead and handed it to Bai Chio. "Keep it well. This is what you want. It can keep you young forever." Behind him, the three people of the Bai family were slightly shocked. They naturally recognized the stilling water bead. Such a precious treasure was countless times more valuable than an immortal artifact. Lin Tian actually gave it away so easily. Bai Chio looked at the stilling water bead and shook his head. "I don't want it. You can keep it. It should be able to help you a lot." Lin Tian was slightly surprised. What kind of wind is blowing today? He pulled Bai Chio's hand and forced the stilling water bead into her hand. "I said I'll give it to you. This is yours." This girl had always been very good to him. She liked the stilling water bead, so he naturally wouldn't keep it for himself. Bai Chio froze in place and looked at the stilling water bead in her hand. For a moment, she was a little dazed. "Let's go back." A low voice sounded. The three elders of the Bai family stared at them and urged Bai Chio. Bai Chio took a deep breath and carefully put away the stilling water bead. She said to Lin Tian, "I'm going home." "Okay." Lin Tian nodded. Bai Chio stared at Lin Tian and took a few steps back. Then, she turned around and soared into the air, following the three elders into the distance. In the blink of an eye, the four of them walked more than 10 feet away. Just then, Bai Chio stopped and turned around. "Lin Tian, you're an idiot. An idiot." At the same time, the sound of air breaking rang out. In the blink of an eye, Bai Chio's figure disappeared into the distance. The three people of the Bai family coldly glanced at Lin Tian and also left. Lin Tian stood in place and stared ahead. He was also a little stunned. He frowned. He had a bad feeling about this. "Forget it." Shaking his head, he took one last look at the direction Bai Chio left and walked to the other side. In the old forest, a small stream flowed, splashing. Lin Tian walked on the water. Every step he took created a little ripple, like a dragonfly skimming the surface of the water. Not long after, he left the stream and walked into the forest. The spiritual energy in the second heaven was much denser than in the first heaven. Even in some ordinary old forest, there were powerful beasts. The birds were chirping nonstop, adding a lot of vitality and spirituality to the old forests. Lin Tian walked inch by inch. After a day, he found a hidden place. This was a canyon with steep stone walls. There were few people here, and not even the footprints of beasts could be seen. He used sword chi to carve out a platform, cleaned up the dust on it, and then sat down cross-legged. Buzz! He activated the four extremes scripture, and a faint silver light surrounded him. The silver light wrapped around his body, and the aura on his body gradually became stronger. So far, his cultivation had been very smooth, and his progress was very fast. At least compared to other people of the same generation, it was very fast. Now, he sat down here and prepared to seriously go through his cultivation and the various techniques that he had mastered. He had now reached the third heaven of the Zephyr realm, and his chi and blood were very vigorous. Powerful true essence fluctuations intertwined outside his body, and occasionally a hurricane would sweep up. He closed his eyes and put his hands on his knees. The four extremes scripture circulated faster, and the aura on his body became stronger and stronger. It was not until 2 hours later that he stopped. Huff! Exhaling a mouthful of turbid air, he raised his right hand, and a Tao diagram appeared. For symbols Tao diagram, the four symbols Tao diagram rotated and moved according to his will. From the initial diameter of an inch, it slowly expanded to a diameter of more than 10 feet, and finally turned into a divine diagram with a diameter of 5 feet. It slowly hovered above his head, shining with divine light. Four symbols seal, seal human, seal ghost, seal immortal, seal God, and seal self. He muttered to himself. His cultivation had reached the third heaven of the Zephyr realm, and the four-symbol seal he displayed was even more powerful. When my cultivation improves further, I can try to cultivate the second layer of the four-symbol seal. The four-symbol seal was a supreme secret technique of the Celestial Lords, and it was the core technique of the ancient Celestial Lords. It was very difficult to cultivate, and with Lin Tian's current cultivation, he still couldn't cultivate the second layer of the four-symbol seal. Even so, the first layer of the four-symbol seal he displayed was already terrifying enough, and few people of the same generation could resist it. He put away the four-symbol seal, and with his true essence, his hands moved rhythmically. Buzz! Behind him, the primitive mountain, the treasure bell, the barren heaven realm, the divine roar palace, and the sun ocean all appeared one by one. The divine art of divination, the supreme attack technique created by Lord Dauren, was known as the Battle Saint technique, and it could create all things in the world. As he used the divining divine technique, more divining divine elephants appeared in this space. They were dignified and divine, and their auras were magnificent. Finally, little fellows appeared at his feet one by one. There were white rabbits, raccoons, and civet cats. The little fellows weren't shy at all, and they clumsily crawled to Lin Tian's side, jumping around happily. Lin Tian's lips curled up slightly, and he withdrew the divine art of divination after a while. He stood up, and the aura around him changed. His eyes suddenly became sharp, and sword intent flashed in them. Clang! 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 The sound of weapons was ear-piercing, and treasure weapons suddenly appeared around him. There were a total of 108 weapons, and among them, there were 3 quasi-mortal weapons, all flashing with cold, murderous light. At this moment, he displayed the weapon manipulation technique. As these weapons screeched, the space around him seemed to be distorted, as if it would collapse in the next moment. The clanging sounds were endless, and it wasn't until dozens of breaths later that he stopped and withdrew all the treasure weapons. I've only mastered about 30% of this treasure skill now, he muttered to himself. The weapon manipulation technique was said to be able to turn every blade of grass and every tree in the world into a divine weapon when cultivated to the extreme. It was the only martial skill that wasn't a divine power, but it was stronger than most divine powers. Lin Tian thought for a while, and suddenly felt that the person who created this technique was an out-and-out genius. He used a martial skill to suppress most divine powers and treasure skills. I don't know which layer of heaven it was passed down from. How could that person in the ancient tomb have mastered the weapon manipulation technique? And it was a complete weapon manipulation technique. He was a little confused. However, he only thought for a while, and then he didn't care about it. He didn't need to investigate these things. He raised his right hand and drew in the void. Immediately, lines of runes jumped out and imprinted in the void. He was now a six-stage array manipulator and could freely carve runes in the void with his soul power. He didn't need to rely on things like ink and scrolls anymore. Now he could study more formation runes, confinement runes, illusory arrays, and killing arrays. Array Dao, encompassing everything. After that, he displayed the Yin Yang Hua and the Yin Yang Lotus Sea, which bloomed with treasure light in the canyon. For hours later, he stopped and began to sort out his alchemy techniques. With his current level as a fifth-tier alchemist, he could already concoct some special alchemy pills, and he could also cultivate more alchemy treasure techniques, which would also have endless wonderful uses in battle. Four-symbol seal, divination divine art, weapon manipulation technique, Yin Yang Hua, Yin Yang Lotus Sea, Array Dao, Alchemy Dao. He organized all the methods he had mastered one by one, and his eyes shone brightly. With my current cultivation base, coupled with these methods, it's enough to kill ordinary early-stage immortal ascension cultivators. He circulated the four extreme scripture a few more times on the spot, stabilizing his aura, and then left the canyon. Next, his gaze was calm as he continued to walk through the various mountains. I wonder how they're doing now. I want to go back. He muttered to himself. Lin Shi, Jiyu, and Sushu. Three figures appeared in his mind at this moment. Time passed quickly. Thinking back, he had already left the first level for a long time. Chapter 437. Standing in the Old Forest, Lin Tian recalled every detail of his time in the First Heaven. In Fengjian City, he and Lin Shi depended on each other. In the Nine Sons martial house, he met Sushu. In the Imperial City, he walked with Jiyu. In the blink of an eye, he had been away from the First Heaven for too long. It had already been half a year. See? Half a year didn't sound long, but it wasn't short either. How long do I have to wait before I can go back? Shaking his head, he continued to walk forward. Strolling in the forest, his aura was very peaceful. Occasionally, he would even play with some small animals in the forest. Not long after, he entered another green mountain and suddenly saw a thatched cottage. The thatched cottage was very simple. It was made of wood and covered with grass to protect it from the wind and rain. The thatched cottage was surrounded by a fence, forming a small courtyard in front. There was a table and stone benches in the courtyard. Staring at the thatched cottage, Lin Tian suddenly felt a familiar aura. He walked up and came to the edge of the fence. Creak! With a soft sound, the door of the thatched cottage was pushed open, and a man in black walked out. Looking at Lin Tian outside the thatched cottage, the man in black had a strange look in his eyes. Lin Tian was standing outside the courtyard. When he saw the man in black walk out, he was a little surprised. I didn't expect you to live here, he said. The man in black was none other than Yang Qi. Yang Qi didn't say anything and just nodded. Aren't you going to invite me in? Lin Tian said with a smile. Yang Qi walked over and opened the fence courtyard door. Then he returned to the thatched cottage and got some wine and a bowl. This man didn't say anything unnecessary. He sat down with Lin Tian on a wooden chair in the courtyard, poured a bowl of strong wine, and pushed it to Lin Tian. Lin Tian picked up the bowl, drank a little, and put it down. He didn't like to drink, but since the host was so kind, he naturally wouldn't refuse. The environment here is not bad, he said. It's okay, Yang Qi said. He picked up the bowl in front of him and drank it in one gulp. Lin Tian knew that Yang Qi's blood feud was as deep as the sea, so he didn't bring it up. On this day, he stayed at Yang Qi's place and chatted with this man about a lot of topics. Of course, most of the time, he was the one doing the talking. Yang Qi rarely spoke. As night approached, the stars in the sky flashed. Lin Tian raised his head and looked at the specks of stars. The silver moonlight fell, enveloping this world in a hazy radiance. Do you know how to get to the First Heaven? He asked. Yang Qi frowned, not understanding why Lin Tian would ask such a question. Compared to the Second Heaven, the First Heaven was no different from an ordinary village. If Lin Tian had asked him how to get to the third heavenly layer, he would not have been confused. However, Lin Tian had asked him how to get to the first heavenly layer. "I want to go to the first heaven," Lin Tian said bluntly. He and Yang Qi weren't close friends, but he felt that he could trust this man. Moreover, going to the first heaven itself wasn't a big deal. It wasn't a secret that couldn't be revealed. Yang Qi looked at Lin Tian. After a while, he said, "In the second heaven, the easternmost spacetime portal leads to the third heaven, while the easternmost spacetime portal leads to the first heaven. However, rumor has it that there are some problems with the space-time portal in the first heaven. From the second heaven to the first heaven, one has to pass through the space-time portal in the first heaven, which is dangerous. Only those who have reached the immortal ascension realm and above have a 60% chance of safely going from the second heaven to the first heaven. The easternmost space-time portal leads to the second heaven. The easternmost space-time portal leads to the first heaven," Lin Tian said in a low voice. His eyes flickered with a bright light, but it quickly dimmed. He came from the first heaven, so he naturally knew that there were some problems with the space-time portal in the first heaven. Ordinary cultivators couldn't pass through it and couldn't go from the first heaven to the second heaven. However, he didn't expect that from the second heaven to the first heaven, one would have to face such a problem. One also needed to be at the immortal ascension realm. Yang Qi didn't ask Lin Tian what he was going to do in the first heaven. He just drank and didn't talk much. The next day, the sky cleared up. Lin Tian said goodbye and left the place. Walking in the old forest, his eyes flashed and became stronger. "I have to get stronger as soon as possible and reach the immortal ascension realm," he said to himself. He walked out of the old forest and appeared on a road of cultivators, which immediately attracted the attention of many cultivators. "That's Lin Kuangren. Do you want to die? Keep your voice down. This person is even more terrifying than the desolate demon body of the heavenly demon mountain. He's not just a little bit strong." Many people had a look of fear on their faces. Lin Tian's cultivation was now very strong. Naturally, he heard these people's words, but he didn't care. Crossing the road of cultivators, he walked into another old forest. "Should I return to the sea to continue my training?" he said to himself. He was now alone and had only one short-term goal, which was to reach the immortal ascension realm and then return to the first heaven. Walking in the Lin Tian, he breathed in the fresh air. In the blink of an eye, another 3 days passed. "I heard that the Li family leader brought the extreme yang physique to the Bai family. It seems that it has something to do with the princess of the Bai family." The people of the Bai family were very enthusiastic, and many big shots showed up to welcome the Li family. The Li family's extreme yang physique? That Li Guhuang? Yes, that's him. It seems that he's going to marry the princess of the Bai family. On this day, the news spread out. In the second heaven, many people were surprised. In the 10 Directions heaven, legend had it that there were 12 king physiques. The reincarnation physique had never appeared, and the chaos physique was recognized as the strongest, followed by the extreme yang physique and the extreme yang physique. Li Guhuang had the sun physique, and his battle prowess was unparalleled. He was truly invincible among his peers. Even some of the older generation immortal-reaching realm experts were no match for him. His future achievements were limitless. Such a terrifying person was now personally heading to the Bai clan under the leadership of the Li clan leader. This undoubtedly caused a great commotion. It's confirmed. The extreme yang physique Li Guhuang is going to marry the princess of the Bai family. Is that really the case? The princess of the Bai family, is indeed very beautiful. Her beauty is unparalleled in the world, but just based on this point, can the Li family leader, who is also an ancient family, personally bring the extreme yang physique to the Bai family? That doesn't seem possible. Some people were puzzled. In the next few days, countless cultivators rushed to the Bai family's periphery, gathered outside the gate, and stared at the Bai family's interior. As an ancient family, the Li family's leader brought his own invincible king physique to the Bai family. This really stirred up the nerves of many people. However, no one could understand why the princess of the Bai family could make the Li family, which was also an ancient family, make such a big scene. The Li family leader and the extreme yang physique came in person. Lin Tian was walking in an old forest. Naturally, he also heard the news. The branch in his hand snapped with a crack. This news came too suddenly, causing him to be a little stunned. He involuntarily clenched his right hand. Extreme Yang Physique. The Li family leader personally brought the extreme Yang Physique Li Guhuang to the Bai family. This scene was a bit too big. The cultivators of the second heaven didn't understand, but Lin Tian knew that it was because Bai Qiu had the extreme Yin Physique. He thought of an ancient saying. The combination of the extreme Yin Physique and the extreme Yang Physique can give birth to a descendant of the Chaos Physique. As long as the reincarnation physique doesn't appear, the descendant of the Chaos Physique can become truly invincible. He suddenly remembered what Bai Qiu said to him. If the adults in the family force you to do something you don't want to do, saying it's for your own good, will you be happy? Thus, he finally understood that marrying the extreme Yang Physique and giving birth to a descendant of the Chaos Physique was indeed a good thing. However, he was very unhappy because he knew too much about the inheritance of these families. What they really wanted was a descendant of the Chaos Physique. A descendant of the Chaos Physique, no matter how mediocre, could step into the Chaos realm. A descendant of the Chaos Physique in the Chaos realm was enough for these two families to look down on the entire 10 directions heaven. They could be invincible for at least 100,000 years. He remembered that when he said to Bai Qiu, "Be careful that the person you like doesn't like you back," the girl's expression suddenly became a little gloomy. He remembered Bai Qiu's wish. When she was strong enough, she would suppress all the old antiques in the family. Therefore, he also understood that the girl didn't want to marry the extreme Yang Physique. Everything was forced by the old antiques in the family. He remembered what he said to Bai Qiu. If your family forces you to do something you don't want to do, they won't have any malicious intentions. After all, they are blood relatives. He suddenly laughed at himself. Those old antiques in the Bai family mainly wanted a descendant of the Chaos Physique. For this reason, they didn't care about Bai Qiu's wishes. He remembered a few days ago, when he parted with Bai Qiu, the forced smile on her face. Suddenly, he felt even more unhappy. Flames flashed in his right fist. After a while, he finally loosened his fist, sighed softly, and walked away. The Bai family was very lively. The house was decorated with lanterns and streamers, and all the important figures came out to welcome the people of the Li family. The important figures of the Bai family and the Li family naturally knew about the extreme Yin Physique and the extreme Yang Physique. Once the two of them married, soon, a descendant of the Chaos Physique would be born. The two families would protect the descendant of the extreme Yang Physique all the way to the Chaos realm. Soon after, the two clans would be able to reach the heavens. They would no longer be able to look down on the second heaven, but the entire 10th heaven. In a pavilion, Bai Qiu stayed in her room, staring blankly at the steadying water bead in her hand. Why is that guy so stupid? I have hinted so many times, but he doesn't feel anything at all. She muttered. In the forest, Lin Tian said to give birth to a child, and she said to consummate the marriage. On the ship, Lin Tian stared at her, and she said that he must like her. In the sea, when he refined the spirit vein, she asked him if he wanted to do anything to her, and she said that she wouldn't resist. She felt that she had hinted very clearly. No matter how stupid he was, he should be able to understand her feelings. Idiot! Idiot! Thinking about it, she couldn't help but tear up, falling on the steadying water bead in her hand. He gave it to you? A voice sounded behind her. She didn't know when Bai Ziki came and stood behind her. Bai Qiu was shocked and quickly wiped away her tears. Brother. Seeing his sister wipe away her tears, Bai Ziki was silent for a while, then said, "Do you like him?" Bai Qiu sniffled, lowered her head and said, "Family is the most important." I know. I won't be willful this time. Bai Ziki's face gradually became a little ugly. He stepped forward and pulled Bai Qiu up. If you don't want to marry, then don't marry. I will take you to him, he said. Chapter 438. Bai Ziki was a few years older than Bai Qiu. Because he had been chosen as the family's holy son and would inherit the position of family head in the future, he had always been calm and reserved. He was also very strict with Bai Qiu. Full text? However, this didn't mean that he didn't care about Bai Qiu. On the contrary, he doted on his only sister more than anything else. A long time ago, the old antiques in the family had contacted the Li family about Bai Qiu and the Sun Constitution. He naturally knew what those people were thinking. They wanted a descendant with the Chaos Constitution because a Chaos Constitution could easily enter the realm of chaos and look down on the world. It could allow the Bai family to prosper for 100,000 years, and no one would dare to offend them for 100,000 years. After learning about this, Bai Qiu was very unhappy, but he didn't say anything and kept silent. However, recently, his sister had been crying frequently, and he felt very uncomfortable. At this moment, when Bai Qiu wiped her tears and said, "Family is most important," he was finally angry. Bang! He kicked the front door open and pulled Bai Qiu out. "Brother!" Bai Qiu's expression changed. Bai Ziki pulled his sister out of the Bai family's house with an indifferent expression. Because he was angry, he didn't hide anything. The commotion soon attracted many people. "Ziki, what are you doing?" An old man appeared. This was the 9th elder of the Bai family, Su Jibai. He was at the second sky of immortal ascension and was an important figure in the Bai family. "Nothing," Bai Ziki said. He didn't care about the person in front of him and pulled Bai Qiu out. The 9th elder frowned and asked, "The Li family's people are already here. Where are you taking Qiu now?" Bai Ziki didn't say anything and walked forward indifferently. "Stop," the 9th elder said in a low voice. He saw Bai Ziki and his sister's abnormality and blocked in front of Bai Ziki. With a boom, a strong force emerged from Bai Ziki's body. Lightning intertwined and flashed past the elder. He didn't say anything and walked out of the Bai family's house without changing his pace. Seemingly seeing what Bai Ziki wanted to do, the 9th elder's expression immediately changed. "Everyone, do your best to stop him." "Yes, Holy Son, please stop. Saint Euthys, please stop. That is the 9th elder of our direct lineage." Many people blocked his path. Bai Ziki's body was surrounded by light. He took a step forward and left everyone behind. The 9th elder's expression changed. Even someone as powerful as him could not compare to such a movement technique and such speed. "Brother." Bai Ziki pulled Bai Qiu back, her face full of worry. Bai Ziki didn't say anything. There were many people who tried to stop him, but without exception, they were all left behind. He had the Thunder God physique, so who could stop him? Soon, the commotion grew bigger and bigger. More important figures of the Bai clan appeared, and even the Li clan's experts rushed over. "Ziki, what are you doing?" a middle-aged man shouted. The middle-aged man was dressed in a purple robe. He walked with a majestic gait, giving off an extremely dignified feeling. He was the patriarch of the Bai family. Staring at Bai Ziki and seeing Bai Ziki holding Bai Qiu's hand, the patriarch of the Bai clan suddenly thought of something, and his expression darkened. "Go back!" the middle-aged man shouted. Bai Qiu's face was a little pale. She sniffled and said, "Brother, let's go back." Bai Ziki tilted his head and looked at Bai Qiu. He held Bai Qiu's hand and could feel Bai Qiu's nervousness. He could even feel Bai Qiu's sadness. Her palm was already full of sweat. He raised his head and looked at the patriarch of the Bai clan. He took a step forward and said, "Get out of the way. How dare you? Is this how you talk to your father?" The patriarch of the Bai clan's face suddenly darkened. Bai Ziki's face was cold. With a boom, the divine chime palace rose and a thunder god appeared. This was an extremely terrifying force. With a bang, the patriarch of the Bai clan was pushed back more than 3 steps. The patriarch of the Bai clan was shocked and angry. He was shocked because Bai Ziki had reached the 5th sky of the Zephyr realm and could push him back. He was angry because his eldest son dared to use force against him, his father. "Brother!" Bai Qiu's expression also changed. She had never seen her brother disrespect an elder in the clan. Bai Ziki's expression was cold. With a group of people blocking his way, he glanced at the people of the Li clan and the Li clan's son physique. Finally, His gaze landed on the patriarch of the Bai clan. She is usually a little naughty and willful, but she is purer than anyone else. Her heart is as clean as a piece of white paper. Staring at the people of the Bai clan, his expression was cold. You want to be strong and stand at the top of the Empyrean region? Sure, but don't try to use my sister's lifelong happiness in exchange. The Li clan's son physique frowned, and his eyes shone brightly. The patriarch of the Li clan and the others' expressions darkened. Go back! The patriarch of the Bai clan shouted. As his words fell, many people of the Bai clan blocked the way. Obviously, they wanted to stop Bai Ziki from leaving. Today, regardless of bloodline or identity, anyone who blocks me is my enemy, Bai Ziki said coldly. With a boom, the divine chime palace shook. Bolts of purple lightning fell from the sky, and the sky changed color. In an old forest, rivers flowed, birds chirped, and insects chirped. It was quiet and peaceful. Lin Tian walked alone in the forest step by step. He held a blade of grass in his hand. His face was expressionless, but the light in his eyes flickered from time to time. Tisk! With a soft sound, the blade of grass in his hand was directly crushed. He stopped in his tracks. Along the way, this was the 96th blade of grass that he had accidentally crushed. In the sky, the scorching sun hung high, sprinkling down strands of scorching light. He tilted his head and looked at the Bai clan. His eyes were sometimes cold, sometimes dim, and sometimes calm. The adults in the clan are forcing you to do something you don't like, saying it's for your own good. Will you be happy? Okay, let's consummate our marriage. Whether I say it or not, the truth is there. If you refute it, it means that you have a guilty conscience. You must like me. There's only the two of us here. Are you going to do anything to me? Don't worry, I won't resist. I'm going home. Familiar voices echoed in Lin Tian's mind. In the end, they stopped at 4 words. I'm going home. He could still vaguely remember Bai Chio's forced smile at that time. Then he seemed to see the sadness in her eyes. I'm going home should have contained the word happiness. Unfortunately, at that time, she was not happy. He closed his eyes. After a while, he slowly opened them. 2 rays of light flashed past. Swoosh! With a flash of silver light, his figure disappeared on the spot. Not long after, he appeared on a grassy plain. There was wind and waves on the grassy plain. He stared into the distance and walked in the direction of the Bai clan. However, in the next moment he stopped. In the distance, a blood-stained figure approached from the distance. He carried a young girl and walked in front of him. The young girl's face was delicate and beautiful, but at that moment, she was slightly pale. He could vaguely see the tears at the corners of her eyes. Whoosh! The wind blew from afar, sweeping up the black hair on Lin Tian's forehead and the corner of the figure's clothes opposite him. Lin Tian did not speak. He only stared at the man opposite him and the young girl in his arms. Bai Ziki. Bai Chio. Bai Ziki's body was covered in wounds. There were even a few transparent bloody holes on his body. His clothes were already dyed red with blood. Even Bai Chio's clothes were soaked by his blood. He had broken out of the Bai clan with Bai Chio. He had single-handedly defeated the powerful cultivators of the Li and Bai clans. After walking all the way here, he finally found Lin Tian. He stared at Lin Tian. There was coldness and anger in his eyes. It was as if he wanted to grab Lin Tian and beat him up at any moment. He even wanted to cut him a few times. Lin Tian glanced at Bai Ziki, who was in his arms. Finally, his gaze fell on Bai Ziki. For a moment, the 2 men looked at each other in silence. Only the wind and waves rolled in from afar. After some time, Bai Ziki moved. He took a step toward Lin Tian. I'll leave my sister to you. Don't let her suffer or make her unhappy. Otherwise, I won't let you go even if I become a ghost. He handed Bai Chio to Lin Tian. He took one last deep look at Lin Tian before he turned and walked away. Even though his body was covered in blood, his body was still straight and upright. Are you going back to the Bai clan now? Lin Tian asked. Bai Ziki brought Bai Chio here and appeared in front of him. No matter how stupid he was, he knew what had happened. Now that Bai Ziki was covered in wounds, the Bai and Li clans were probably after him. If he went back now, he would definitely be severely punished. That's my home. Bai Ziki had his back to Lin Tian. His steps were firm. Lin Tian opened his mouth. He wanted to say something, but in the end, he did not speak. He watched as Bai Ziki disappeared into the distance. Bai Ziki said, "That's my home." What else could he say? He lowered his head and looked at the person in his arms. Her beautiful face was pale and bloodless. The tears on her face were so clear. Even though she was unconscious, there were still tears dripping down her face. He also felt bad. He sighed and retreated with Bai Chio in his arms. They left the grassland and appeared in a small forest dozens of miles away. The forest was very ordinary. Sunlight shone through the gaps in the leaves, casting streaks of light on the ground. It was very cool here. Brother, 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 Bai Chio mumbled in her sleep from time to time. Lin Tian brought her to sit under an old tree. He held her small hand with his right hand and slowly channeled his true essence into it. After more than an hour, Bai Chio finally woke up. Brother! She seemed to have had a nightmare and cried out in alarm. Lin Tian raised his hand and held her down. Lin Tian. When she woke up and saw the familiar face, Bai Chio was a little stunned. However, in the next moment, she became anxious and grabbed Lin Tian tightly. Where's my brother? Where's my brother? How is he? How is he? She grabbed Lin Tian and was very anxious. Tears kept falling from her beautiful big eyes. Bai Ziki took her out of the Bai family and fought their way out. They were heavily injured again and again. When she was awake, she saw Bai Ziki vomiting blood. In the end, in order to not worry her, Bai Ziki directly knocked her out. Now that she woke up, how could she not be worried? Her heart was burning with anxiety. Your brother is fine, Lin Tian said softly. Then, where is my brother? Where did he go? He went back to the Bai family. Lin Tian on Dao. He went home. He went home. He went home. Bai Chio mumbled repeatedly. Lin Tian sighed and gently pulled her up. Let's go out and change first. Bai Chio was covered in blood. Of course, it was all Bai Ziki's blood. He didn't have any women's clothes on him at the moment, so he could only go out and find a set. Holding the dazed Bai Chio, he soon appeared in a small town and helped Bai Chio choose a white dress. After changing into the new clothes, Bai Chio seemed to be more energetic, but her face was still pale and dazed. That's Lin Tian and the princess of the Bai family. The princess of the Bai family and the Li family's son Physique were married. Then, the Bai family's thunder god Physique suddenly took his sister and fought their way out of the Bai family. Did he hand his sister over to Lin Tian? Well, what's going on? Many people were shocked. Lin Tian tilted his head and glanced at some of the people who were discussing with a cold gaze. Suddenly, the cultivators who spoke before all staggered back as if they were struck by lightning. Their faces were full of fear. Then the others around them all retreated. No one dared to speak, and they didn't even dare to look in Lin Tian's direction. Lin Tian pulled Bai Chio and left the small town soon after. In the blink of an eye, the sky darkened and stars flashed, dotting the sky. Bai Chio, return to the family in half a month. Otherwise, your brother will take your place and enter the supreme divine region to challenge the death trap set by the ancestors. He will never come out until he reaches the great Dao realm. A voice came from the Bai family, and in the blink of an eye, it spread to every corner of the second heaven. Chapter 439. The voice that came from the Bai family was low and cold. It spread in all directions within a few minutes, and all the cultivators could hear it. Everyone, please search for the most complete version of this novel. A novel! Of course, Lin Tian and Bai Chio were the same. Bai Chio was in a daze. After hearing this news, tears fell from her eyes. I want to go back. I want to go back. She muttered, broke free from Lin Tian, and ran toward the Bai family. Lin Tian frowned and pulled her back. Let go of me. Bai Chio shouted and said with a sobbing tone, Do you know what the divine territory is? It's a training ground that the ancestor of the Bai family set up in his later years by burning his essence. Once one passes it, one's cultivation level and combat power will change drastically. However, since ancient times, no one in the family has been able to pass it. Several people who were at the peak of the immortal ascension realm have also died there. I can't let my brother go in. Bai Qiu was very sad because the divine territory was too dangerous. No one in the family who entered had ever walked out alive. Bai Ziki was extremely talented. He had the Thunder God constitution, but he was still in the airborne realm. It was almost impossible for him to survive in the divine territory. Even if he could pass it safely, it would take him a long time to reach the Great Tao realm. It would take at least a few decades. It was too cruel to not be able to come out for a few decades. How could she let her brother suffer for her? Lin Tian was silent. He looked at Bai Qiu and shook his head. I also have a sister. For my sister, I'm willing to endure any kind of hardship, he said. Bai Qiu was stunned. This was the first time she knew that Lin Tian had a sister. However, she shook her head and sniffed. She choked and said, I want to go back. Lin Tian grabbed her hand and did not let go. Let go of me. Bai Qiu struggled. Lin Tian shook his head and refused to let go. Your brother risked his life to bring you out. I won't let you go back. Bai Qiu shed tears and gritted her teeth. With a boom, a full moon rushed out from behind her. With the appearance of the full moon, a dark starry sky appeared behind Bai Qiu. For a moment, the power of Yin surged like the Milky Way, pure and sacred. Lin Tian looked up, his eyes dazed. Is this your king's territory? Starry sky, bright moon? Very good, very strong. He held Bai Qiu's hand and remained unaffected by the bright moon and starry sky. However, you forgot that the king's territory is ineffective against me. Bai Qiu gritted his teeth. After a moment of shock, his tears fell even harder. I beg you, please let me go. Let me go back. If I go to the supreme divine territory, my brother will die. Even if he doesn't die, how much time would he have to spend to reach the Great Tao realm? He can't stay in the supreme divine region alone for decades. She had a pleading expression on her face. Lin Tian was silent. He didn't feel good seeing this girl so sad. I will bring your brother out, he said. What did you say? Bang. Lin Tian struck at the back of Bai Qiu's neck with a karate chop, causing her to faint in an instant. He tilted his head and looked in the direction of the Bai family. His eyes were cold as he carried Bai Qiu and walked in another direction. Not long after, he walked into a green mountain and appeared outside a small courtyard. The courtyard was very simple. There was a thatched cottage, a table, and a chair. A black-clothed youth was standing in the center of the courtyard. The black-clothed youth was naturally Yang Qi. Seeing Lin Tian carrying Bai Qiu here, Yang Qi wasn't surprised. He got up and opened the courtyard door. Although he lived in seclusion here, he knew very well what happened in the second heaven. Help me take care of her. Lin Tian Dao. Yang Qi stared at Lin Tian. What do you want to do? Bai Ziki has been imprisoned by his family. In half a month, he will enter the supreme divine territory. I will go and bring him out. Lin Tian Dao. There was no expression on his face, only a cold intent lingering around his body. Yang Qi was silent as he looked at Lin Tian Dao. The Bai family has a great Dao realm expert holding down the fort. There are at least 5 peak immortal ascension realm experts. I know. Lin Tian nodded. Yang Qi was still dressed in black. He turned around and pushed open the door of the thatched cottage. Put her inside. Then follow me. Lin Tian was puzzled, but he didn't say anything. He carefully placed Bai Qiu inside the thatched cottage and came to Yang Qi's side. Yang Qi didn't say anything. He turned and walked into the depths of the Green Mountain. Before long, the two of them arrived at a withered forest. Yang Qi led the way, and before long, they reached a precipitous stone wall. He asked Lin Tian to wait outside and spent a quarter of an hour pushing open the messy stone walls, opening a stone door and entering the stone wall. Then, another quarter of an hour passed, and he walked out again. This is the family tomb, Yang Qi said. He opened his right hand, and a round divine saber appeared. The blade was only 3 inches long, and it glowed with sparkling light. It radiated a domineering aura that caused the void in the area to tremble. Lin Tian immediately revealed a shocked expression when he saw the power contained within. It's a high-grade, flawless Dao weapon, the Yang family's most powerful reserve power. Yang Qi's words were simple. After the Yang family was destroyed, he had only taken this saber with him. He didn't want to rely on it to roam the world, as it would hinder his own growth. Now that Lin Tian was going to attack the Bai family, he took out the saber and handed it to Lin Tian. Before that, I want to tell you that the Bai family has a similar Dao weapon. Most importantly, they have a Dao weapon of the great Dao realm. You, on the other hand, are only in the 3rd stratum of the Imperial Void realm. Lin Tian's eyes flashed as he looked at the saber in Yang Qi's hand. Aren't you afraid that if I die in the Bai family will take your saber? He asked. Yang Qi's expression was cold, and his words were stiff. You'll be able to walk out alive. Lin Tian grinned, took the saber, and carefully put it away. Thank you for your kind words. He didn't say any words of gratitude. Sometimes it was easy to form friendships between men. He tilted his head and looked in the direction of the thatched cottage, his eyes filled with tenderness. Take care of her for me, he said to Yang Qi. Yang Qi didn't say anything. He just nodded. Lin Tian turned and walked off, not looking back. A strong wind kicked up in the second heaven, causing the old trees to sway back and forth. After leaving Yang Qi's residence, Lin Tian found a secluded spot in a nearby forest and sat down cross-legged. He circulated the 4 extremity scriptures, causing his quintessence, energy, and soul to reach the perfect level. Then he took out a Baodan pill from his stone ring. It was a true concoction pill, which he had extorted from an overlord of the sea. It was a precious medicine for tempering one's true energy. Sitting down cross-legged, he popped the pill into his mouth, chewed, and swallowed it. Instantly, a warm current flowed through his body. Whiz! The surface of his body produced waves of halos. Specks of silver light danced like flames. After the true concoction pill entered his body, the medicinal power quickly melted into his 8 extraordinary meridians and true energy. Then, Lin Tian circulated the 4 extremity scriptures even faster, relying on the medicinal power of the true concoction pill to rapidly temper his true energy. As he continued to refine himself, the silver light on the surface of his body grew stronger and stronger. The airborne realm focused on tempering one's true energy. It was a process where one's true energy underwent quantitative changes over and over again, and finally reached the immortal ascension realm. Once one reached the immortal ascension realm, true energy would no longer be present. It would turn into a new power, divine power. With divine power, one could be considered to have truly stepped into the sacred temple of immortal cultivation. It was the true starting point of immortal cultivation. Whiz! Lin Tian sat cross-legged and circulated the 4 extremities scriptures over and over again, tempering his true energy. It was an extremely boring process. Under normal circumstances, it would take him at least 2 months to go from the 3rd firmament to the 4th firmament of the airborne realm. But now, with the help of the true concoction pill, the speed of tempering his true energy was countless times faster. In just one day, a majestic force rushed out of his body and spread out in all directions. He had broken through to the 4th firmament of the airborne realm. Lin Tian stood up, a glint flashed in his eyes, and he gently clenched his fists. After reaching the 4th celestial layer of the imperial sky realm, his physical strength didn't change much, but the true essence in his body was much thicker and purer. Even his divine sense had been strengthened a lot, and his combat strength had obviously improved. He did not consolidate his cultivation. With a thought, he took out a dark cyan cauldron. This cauldron was obtained by him when the master apothecary was in seclusion before he achieved enlightenment. Although it did not have offensive power, it was very sturdy. It was an absolute treasure for refining medicine. Now he was already a 5th level apothecary and could refine a new Baodan. At this time, he took out the dark cyan cauldron and prepared to refine a few cauldrons of rising adversity pills. The rising adversity pill was a 5th level Baodan. It could permanently destroy the true energy of a cultivator below the immortal ascension realm. If the antidote was not found within 7 days, it would be wasted. Even if a Nirvana realm powerhouse appeared, the outcome would not change. This Baodan was similar to the energy sealing pill. After it was shattered with the true energy, it was invisible, colorless, and tasteless. Ordinary people would not be able to detect it. It could be said that it was an enhancement of the energy sealing pill's effect. This was because the energy sealing pill's effect was ordinary, and it could only seal the true energy temporarily. However, the rising adversity pill could permanently destroy the true energy. It could be said that it was a type of poison pill. Phew! Lin Tian exhaled a mouthful of turbid air. With a wave of his hand, he took out a large amount of alchemy materials. Previously, when he was in the Master Apothecary's seclusion place, and in the Sea King's palace in the sea area, he had obtained many medicinal materials. These medicinal materials were complex and extraordinary. It was enough for him to refine many rising adversity pills. He stood beside the dark cyan cauldron and took out the 4th level elixir fire. Soon after, he slowly placed the medicinal materials for refining the rising adversity pill into the cauldron. The rising adversity pill was a 5th level pill, and it was very troublesome to refine. It required the apothecary to carefully control the temperature of the elixir fire at each time. Although Lin Tian had just become a 5th level apothecary, his consciousness was very strong. Coupled with the 4th level elixir fire that he controlled, it was relatively easy for him to refine the 5th level Baodan. Soon, 3 days passed. In 3 days, he had refined a total of 9 cauldrons of rising adversity pills. A total of 90 pills were enough to completely destroy the true energy of thousands of airborne realm cultivators. Chapter 440. Up until now, Lin Tian had cultivated martial arts, array, and alchemy. On the path of array Dao, he had reached the level of a rank 6 array manipulator. He could be considered to have reached the next level. When he was in the first heaven, the divine sword entered his body and produced endless Dao patterns in his mind. Among them, the array patterns were vast and indescribable. It could be said to be the combination of all the arrays in the world. After becoming a rank 6 array manipulator, he searched carefully and found an ultimate killing array, the eternal killing array. This killing array was created by the Array Emperor, one of the 9 heavenly sovereigns. It was the culmination of his lifetime's array Dao. After becoming a rank 6 array manipulator, although he was far from being able to engrave such an ultimate killing array, he should be able to comprehend it and engrave a corner. It should not be a big problem. Such an ultimate killing array, even if it was just a corner, had the power to destroy all things. It would be of great use to him when he broke into the Bai family. He closed his eyes. In his sea of consciousness, strands of array patterns appeared. Buzz! The array patterns flashed with strange light. The outline was incomparably complex and mysterious. It was as vast as the starry sky and difficult to see clearly. Lin Tian sat cross-legged on the ground with his eyes closed. His consciousness condensed into a figure that looked exactly like him in his sea of consciousness. It stared straight at the eternal killing array pattern that appeared in his sea of consciousness. This array pattern was the complete eternal killing array. However, Lin Tian knew that with his current level, he could not fully comprehend it. He could only stare at a corner. It's named Eternal. It means immortality. It can cut through everything, he said in a dreamy voice. He comprehended the eternal killing array in his sea of consciousness. As time passed, a day passed in the blink of an eye. After a day, he barely comprehended half of it. Suddenly, the aura outside his body changed. A fierce killing intent involuntarily burst out from his body and instantly filled every corner of the space. Not far away, there were a few ancient trees. As the aura overflowed, the ancient trees were torn apart in an instant. Even further away, the birds in the forest began to palpitate. They were all trembling as they flew into the distance. Lin Tian closed his eyes. He sensed this, but he wasn't surprised. He continued to quietly comprehend the runes of the eternal killing array. On the path of an array-controlling master, only by comprehending the runes would one be able to inscribe them. Therefore, in the following days, Lin Tian sat cross-legged on the ground, earnestly comprehending the eternal killing array diagram. In the blink of an eye, another 3 days passed. Boom! On this day, an even more terrifying murderous intent rushed out from Lin Tian's body. Strands of murderous intent spread out, and with a bang, it shattered dozens of large rocks in front of him, turning them into ashes in an instant. Outside his body, strands of inscriptions flickered faintly. They were surrounded by earth-shattering killing intent, causing the space to distort. In this old forest, a few powerful demonic beasts were also alarmed. They stared in this direction, all of them terrified and uneasy, trembling. Among these demonic beasts, there were powerful level 9 existences. However, at this time, they were also shrouded in fear. With a roar, they quickly fled into the distance, splashing a large amount of gray dust in the old forest. As time passed, this aura did not decrease. Instead, it became stronger and stronger. In the blink of an eye, another 2 days passed. Boom! 2 days later, the murderous intent outside Lin Tian's body was even more shocking. Even the sky changed color. At this time, the aura outside his body was peerlessly sharp and extremely terrifying. With him as the center, sand and pebbles flew in all directions within 100 feet radius. The ground below him was cracking, and endless debris flew into the sky. There were shocking, killing light pillars descending from the sky, filling all directions. Eternal killing array, cut off all eternity, Lin Tian whispered. As his words fell, an even more terrifying murderous intent spread out. In all directions, rays of killing light slashed in all directions. Crack! 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 The space could not withstand such a terrifying murderous intent. It cracked inch by inch, and a large area of spatial turbulence overflowed. This world changed rapidly. Dark clouds hung in the sky, lightning fell, and even the sky gradually turned blood red. All kinds of terrifying visions of heaven and earth appeared in the void. Then, from time to time, criss-cracking sounds could be heard. As he comprehended the eternal killing array, more and more runes flowed out from his fingers, causing the ground below him to crack inch by inch and sink inch by inch. Time passed, and a few hours passed. The dense killing intent slowly disappeared. Whoosh! A gust of wind blew, rolling up traces of sand and dust. Lin Tian sat cross-legged on the ground without moving. However, the aura outside his body became more and more fierce. There was a boundless, domineering aura that could kill everything in the world. It made the area within 100 feet dead silent. Even the temperature in this space dropped a lot. In the blink of an eye, another 3 days passed. It had been 10 days since he walked into this place. On this day, Lin Tian opened his eyes. 2 rays of killing light flashed in his eyes, causing a large rock in the distance to emit a soft crack. A crack suddenly appeared in the middle of the rock, a corner of the killing array. That should be enough, he muttered to himself. With a thought, he took out a transparent crystal stone from the stone ring. This was the black water stone, which he had obtained in the dark gorge at the bottom of the sea. It could be used to carry the runes. An upper-grade true treasure sword appeared in his hand. With a sharp sword aura, he cut the black water stone into dozens of square array platforms, each of which was close to 1 cubic meter. Then he waved a black water array platform. His right hand intertwined with soul power, carving a killing array on it. Wong! Silver light intertwined with his fingers. It was pure soul power. He slowly drew on the black water array platform in front of him. As his fingers moved, strands of formation runes leaped out from the tip of his finger, followed by an earth-shattering killing intent. Every time a formation rune leaped out from the tip of his finger, the surrounding space would tremble violently. Lin Tian focused his mind. Silver light flashed in his eyes. Bit by bit, the killing runes of the eternal killing array landed on the Blackwater stone. This was a very difficult and troublesome process. Although it was only a corner of the eternal killing array, with his current cultivation, it would take him about 90% of his soul power to carve it out. On the other hand, it would take him 12 hours to carve out the entire horn killing array. Then, he had to use the Heavenly One Soul spell to recover his soul power. Then, he would start carving the second eternal killing array. His fingers moved, and waves of murderous intent spread out, causing the void to tremble uneasily. Soon, 12 hours had passed. The first eternal killing array platform was completed. Light mist lingered on it, emitting an extremely cold aura. It could make one's soul tremble uncontrollably. Lin Tian wiped the sweat off his forehead. He put the completed eternal killing array platform into the stone ring. Then, he sat cross-legged on the ground and began to use the Heavenly One Soul spell. This was a cultivation manual for array controlling techniques. It was the foundation of array controlling masters. With Lin Tian's operation, his soul power gradually became stronger. After 8 hours, his soul power was completely recovered. Continue. In the next few days, he didn't sleep or rest. He finished carving the 5 eternal killing array platforms. "It's about time," he said in a low voice. He put away all the killing array platforms. He thought that the black waterstone could carry the killing array and store it for future use. It was really extraordinary. One had to know that if he were to carve the eternal killing array on the spot, it would take too much time and energy. With his current cultivation, it was impossible to carve such an array in the middle of a battle. However, the existence of the Blackwater Stone had undoubtedly saved him from this problem. It could be said that it had done him a great favor. He closed his eyes and operated the 4 extreme scripture and the Heavenly One Soul spell at the same time. After another 6 hours, his true yuan and soul power had recovered to their peak level. It's time to pay a visit to the Bai family. He stood up, and a ray of light flashed in his eyes. The next moment, he disappeared, leaving behind only traces of dust. In the blink of an eye, 14 days had passed. On the last day, Bai Chio, if you don't appear, your brother will enter the supreme divine domain. A voice rang out again. This time, the head of the Bai family personally shouted the words. The combination of the Great Yin and Great Yang was too important for the Bai family and the Li family. Although the head of the Bai family was the father of Bai Chio and Bai Ziki, he had to be ruthless for the sake of the family's prosperity. Moreover, the head of the Bai family was not the only one who had the final say. There were several supreme elders at the peak of the connecting immortal realm and a great Tao realm ancestor behind him. In the blink of an eye, the voice once again spread throughout the second heaven. This, the supreme divine domain, seems to be a very terrifying place. Are the big shots of the Bai family really willing to let the Thunder God physique go there? It should be just to force the princess of the Bai family to appear. Many people were discussing. Bai Ziki, the holy son of the Bai family, had the Thunder God physique. He was extremely talented and his combat strength was terrifying. Many people knew very well that the Bai family would not be willing to let such a young supreme being take the risk. There was a great possibility that they were forcing the princess of the Bai family to appear. Of course, they could not completely rule out the possibility that the Bai family would really let Bai Ziki enter the supreme divine domain. After all, it was just going to a terrifying place to train, not sending Bai Ziki to his death. However, even so, many people's nerves were still affected. How important is the princess of the Bai family? Why could she make the Li family put on such a big show? And now, the big shots of the Bai family are so moved that they even used the holy son of the Thunder God physique as a threat. This is too strange. Indeed, it's really unpredictable. Many people were puzzled. In the east of the second heaven, endless celestial mountains surrounded by divine light filled the air. There were countless rare beasts hovering in the sky, and even a 7-colored rainbow bridge could be seen. At the end of the endless celestial mountains, there was a vast palace. There were floating islands, flowing immortal rivers, and dense Tao patterns lingering in the air. This was the foothold of the Bai family, an ancient aristocratic family. In the past half a month, the second heaven was boiling with excitement. The patriarch of the Li family personally brought his invincible son Physique to the Bai family to prepare for the engagement with the princess of the Bai family. The big shots of the Bai family also came out of seclusion and welcomed the Li family members happily. But in the end, the holy son of the Bai family actually took the princess of the Bai family and directly left the Bai family. In half a month, the princess of the Bai family disappeared. The half-month deadline is almost up. If the princess of the Bai family doesn't return, will the Bai family really push the thunder god Physique into the supreme divine domain? Many cultivators gathered outside the Bai family. Many people stared at the inside of the Bai family, pointing and whispering. In the sky, the scorching sun hung high, and the air was scorching hot. At this moment, at the end of the distant horizon, a slender figure appeared, walking toward the Bai family step by step. That is Lin Tian? Why is he here? Chapter 441. The crowd was shocked as they stared at the approaching figure. They were all stunned, and their eyes widened. That madman is here? He's heading towards the Bai family's gate. Well, what's going on? Many cultivators were dumbfounded. Lin Tianyi was dressed in a long robe. His footsteps were calm as he walked forward. In front of him, the Bai family's gate was grand and solemn. There was a flow of Taoist connotation and an aura of vicissitudes. Looking up, he saw the deity island floating in the air and shining with treasure light. It was as if there was a ferocious beast lying inside. It was extremely terrifying. Looking at all of this, his footsteps did not stop as he walked forward step by step. "Retreat!" someone shouted. Seeing Lin Tian walking over, many people felt a chill down their spines and quickly made way for him. Lin Tian did not care about their reactions. Soon, he arrived in front of the Bai family's gate. The Bai family's gate was made of immortal jade. It was 30 feet tall and about 10 feet wide. There were clansmen guarding the gate with battle spears in their hands. They were not weak and had strong blood qi. At this moment, seeing Lin Tian walking towards them, the expressions of the people guarding the gate changed. "Thief Lin, how dare you come here? How dare you? Take him down!" A few people rushed forward. For a moment, the light of true essence danced, and all kinds of divine abilities and martial techniques fell on Lin Tian. Although these people were only guarding the gate, they were all cultivators of the ancient aristocratic families. Their combat strength was far superior to others. Now, several divine abilities and secret techniques were displayed at the same time. The combined aura made the void tremble. This shocked many cultivators. They once again felt the terror of the ancient aristocratic families. Even the clansmen guarding the gate were so powerful. Boom! These people were all at the level of flight. At this time, several divine abilities pressed down together, and the light mist was oppressive, making many people's hearts tremble. Lin Tian's face was expressionless. His footsteps did not change as he walked forward slowly, allowing the light to drown him. "You're courting death. Is this the so-called Lin Quangren? He can't even withstand a single blow." They sneered. However, in the next moment, several people's expressions changed. Lin Tian walked out from the light of the divine ability in front of them, completely unscathed. There wasn't even a speck of dust on him. There was a layer of light around his body, which completely blocked all the killing light outside his body. Impossible. They were all shocked. At the same time, a group of cultivators in the distance felt their hearts palpitate. Facing the attacks of several flying experts, he didn't make the slightest bit of counterattack, and actually directly walked past the killing lights of divine abilities and martial skills. What kind of powerful combat strength was this? How calm was he? "Damn it! Use all your strength. Go!" Several people outside the Bai clan shouted. Momentarily, several people moved again, brandishing their precious weapons to attack. However, in the next moment, several mysterious patterns suddenly appeared in the void. They transformed into silver chains and instantly bound a few of them, making it impossible for them to move at all. What is this? Let us go. Several people shouted loudly. Lin Tian didn't care about them. He walked forward step by step and soon arrived at the edge of the Bai clan's gate. He came to this place for Bai Ziki. He had also promised Bai Chio that he wouldn't kill anyone from the Bai clan. Therefore, he showed mercy to these people and only used the confinement runes in the formation controlling technique to imprison them on the spot. He raised his head and looked into the Bai clan. He acutely sensed a majestic pressure in the sky. It was like a destructive lightning tribulation that could press down at any time and obliterate anyone below the great Tao realm. He stood on the spot. He had to admit that the ancient aristocratic families were indeed terrifying. This aura was more than 1,000 times stronger than the 10 great sections. Shaking his head, he didn't think too much and directly stepped into the Bai clan. This? He walked in. Oh my God, what is he doing? He actually walked into the Bai clan. Outside the Bai clan, all the cultivators widened their eyes. The Bai clan had been passed down since ancient times. Such an ancient clan had ancient runes everywhere, flawless Tao weapons, and even great Tao realm cultivators guarding the clan. It could be said to be a living forbidden land that was countless times more dangerous than a dragon's pool or a tiger's den. But now, in the face of such a terrifying inheritance, Lin Tian actually walked in without any hesitation. Is he crazy? Everyone was stunned. In the eyes of these people, Lin Tian's action was undoubtedly incomprehensible and made them feel that it was very stupid. Because this was simply courting death. Lin Tian stepped into the Bai clan. As far as the eye could see, there were pavilions and blooming celestial plants. The air was filled with an extremely shocking celestial aura, as if there were tens of thousands of flawless spirit veins interweaving together under the ground. This kind of spiritual power was shocking. After walking in, Lin Tianji felt as if all the pores on his body were about to open up, wanting to absorb this kind of celestial spiritual light. Of course, at the same time, he also felt a sense of pressure. After walking into the Bai clan, he felt as if he was being stared at by a pair of invisible eyes, as if there was a huge rock weighing 10,000 kilograms on his shoulders. Boom! Clang! The ground shook and the precious weapon screeched. In the blink of an eye, many members of the Bai clan rushed out. With the Bai clan's huge inheritance, there was naturally someone who knew that someone had broken in. At this moment, a group of Bai clan experts rushed out and surrounded Lin Tian in the blink of an eye. Each of them was emitting extremely powerful fluctuations. These people were all airborne realm experts. There were a total of 300 of them, and more than 30 of them were cultivators at the peak of the airborne realm. This was the strength of the ancient aristocratic families, with countless experts. With such a formation, it was enough to scare many people. Even ordinary immortal realm experts would have a change of expression when seeing such a formation. These were hundreds of airborne realm experts. Just as the rumors say, he is truly audacious. Among the hundreds of people, a middle-aged man who was the leader had a gloomy expression, and his eyes were full of murderous intent. It's just as well. You delivered yourself to us, so we will kill you as a sacrifice to our dead clan members. Do it! Another person said. In an instant, hundreds of people moved together, using their magic and precious skills one after another. The oppressive void was rumbling, and the murderous intent was terrifying. Lin Tian's expression was indifferent. With a buzz, the barren heaven realm was propped up. The Bai clan experts who rushed at the front were sent flying. Each of them spat out mouthfuls of blood and crashed into a strange rock not far away. Don't block my way, Lin Tiandao. Now that he had reached the fourth firmament of the airborne realm, his divine sense, physique, spiritual ether, and speed were all terrifying. Few people could compare to him. In addition, he cultivated both martial arts, formations, and alchemy, and had mastered many powerful techniques. His combat strength could be said to be extremely frightening. Under the immortal realm, except for the few young supreme beings of the same generation, no one could compete with him. Even ordinary early-stage, immortal realm cultivators were nothing in his eyes. Insolence! A cultivator at the peak of the airborne realm shouted and used the Bai clan's unparalleled divine palm. Kill! The others shouted coldly. They all used their divine abilities and secret techniques, suppressing Lin Tian with a sky full of divine light. Lin Tian was expressionless. With the barren heaven realm protecting his body, he took a step forward. With a simple step, a loud bang was heard. With him as the center, a violent wave of spiritual ether swept out like a hurricane, sending all the Bai clan experts flying dozens of feet away. He still didn't kill these people from the Bai clan. After sweeping them away, he continued to walk deeper into the Bai clan. Damn it! Everyone, come out and stop this bastard for me. Kill! Someone roared. The people from the Bai clan had ugly expressions. They were a dignified ancient family that had been passed down since ancient times, but now they were actually attacked by a small cultivator at the airborne realm. This was simply a great humiliation. Ever since the Bai clan's ancestor established the Bai clan, such a thing had never happened. Even a great virtue realm cultivator wouldn't dare to barge into the Bai clan like this. There were many cultivators outside the Bai clan. At this time, these people couldn't see the scene inside the Bai clan, but they heard the angry roars of the Bai clan members. For a moment, their hearts palpitated again. Lin Tian, who was at the airborne realm, entering the ancient family alone was like entering a tiger's den. Many people shook their heads, but at this moment, they actually heard the angry roars of the Bai clan members. The people of the Bai clan have been defeated? Oh my God! Many people were stunned. Boom! In the Bai clan, true ether treasure lights crisscrossed, one after another, and energy fluctuations swept in all directions. Many people of the Bai clan rushed out, all of them roaring and attacking Lin Tian. These people weren't weak, because they knew that Lin Tian was very strong. Those who rushed over were all cultivators at the airborne realm. However, the result was shocking. Along the long corridor, Lin Tian's footsteps were not obstructed at all. His movements were simple, and he swept away those who blocked his way one by one. Inform the elders! Someone shouted. This was a cultivator at the pinnacle of the airborne realm. His strength was very strong, but at this moment he felt waves of fear and palpitations. This was because this handsome man in front of him was too strong. Hundreds of airborne realm cultivators surrounded him, but they couldn't even stop him. One by one, they were swept away. All of them struggled in pain, and it was difficult for them to stand up again. Lin Tian crossed the corridor. The spirit chi in front of him was denser, and he walked deeper in step by step. Thief! The people of the Bai clan roared and attacked together. Unfortunately, it was useless. Bang! 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 In the blink of an eye, dozens of people were sent flying and fell more than 30 meters away. Young man, you are too bold. A cold voice was heard from the front. Majestic divine power surged, and a middle-aged man in a purple robe walked over. There were many people next to him, and none of them were weak. Lin Tian's unscrupulous intrusion into the Bai clan had caused too much of a commotion. At this moment, the Bai clan leader and many of the important figures of the Bai clan walked out with a cold look in their eyes. At the same time, there were many other people next to the Bai clan leader and the others. There were cultivators from the Anciently clan, as well as elders from the Taishian Sacred Ground and the Wantong Sacred Ground. Not long ago, when Bai Chiu returned to the clan, the cultivators from the two sacred grounds personally came to visit because their saints were suppressed by Bai Chiu's high-grade celestial artifact. In response, the Bai clan naturally received the cultivators from the two sacred grounds warmly. At the same time, they directly took away Bai Chiu's celestial artifact and released the saints from the two sacred grounds. After that, the important figures of the Bai clan felt that they were in the wrong. Coincidentally, the Li clan leader came to the clan with the sun physique and was about to be engaged to the princess of the Bai clan. With such a joyous occasion, the important figures of the Bai clan naturally invited the people from the two sacred grounds to stay as guests. P.S. Thank you to Wu Dao Ling Yun for the 10,000 traversing coins reward. Thank you to Mo Ran Yi Qingcheng for the 3,000 traversing coins reward. Thank you, two brothers, for your hospitality. M. Chapter 442. With the head of the Bai family as the leader, the big shots stood out one by one. All of them were powerful existences in the immortal realm. Read a book? 1. K. A. N. S. Book H. You see, these people's expressions were very cold, especially those of the Bai family. Their expressions were somewhat ugly. A great force that had been passed down since ancient times had actually allowed a small cultivator in the airborne realm to fight his way here. No one could stop him. Head of the family, elders, all the cultivators of the Bai family bowed in unison. A group of people surrounded Lin Tian from behind. They didn't make any more moves and carefully guarded the surroundings. The big shots of the Bai family didn't say anything. Their gazes fell on Lin Tian. Young man, do you really think you're invincible after killing so many of our clansmen and barging into the families? The head of the Bai family said in a deep voice. The head of the Bai family didn't know about the order to hunt down Lin Tian. Even so, it was a fact that Lin Tian had killed many of the Bai family's clansmen. Facing Lin Tian, this middle-aged man naturally didn't have a good expression. His eyes were very cold. Lin Tian raised his head and looked at the purple-robed middle-aged man. Head of the Bai family? It's me. The head of the Bai family's voice was low, but he also frowned because Lin Tian was too calm and composed, which made him a little surprised. One had to know that this was the interior of the Bai family, and he was the head of the Bai family. In this heaven, ordinary people would fear and respect him when they saw him. But now, an airborne realm cultivator was looking directly at him without any fear. This kind of boldness was too shocking. The corners of Lin Tian's mouth curled up slightly. Forcing a 16-year-old girl to marry someone she doesn't like, making her sad and crying, making her haggard and distant. Now, in order to force her to return to the family, I heard that you want to let the sacred son of your family enter the godless, desolate domain to train. If he doesn't reach the Great Path realm, he won't be able to come out. It's really a little cruel. Staring at the head of the Bai family, there was a hint of sarcasm in his expression. Speaking of which, since ancient times, is it because you're so cruel to your own family that you've been able to maintain your prosperity? That's why you can rule the second heaven? When the head of the Bai clan heard this, his face immediately darkened, and his expression became somewhat ashen. My Bai family's matters are not for a nobody like you to comment on. I wasn't able to kill you in the past, but today, you won't be able to survive. Want? Reading books? 1. K. A cold voice sounded, and an elder stepped out. It was Bai Hongye from the Bai clan's branch family. Back then, the Bai clan's 3 people had ordered to kill Lin Tian, and this person was one of them. Bai Hongye's eyes were filled with a sinister killing light as he stared at Lin Tian. However, it seems like Xiao is in your hands. Tell me, where did you hide her? Xiao. Lin Tian tilted her head, and an icy aura spread out. Are you worthy of being called that? Boom! A powerful force rushed out of his body and knocked Bai Hongye back by 3 steps with a bang. Bai Hongye stopped in his tracks, and his face instantly twisted. You're courting death. He was a powerful cultivator at the immortal realm, and now he was actually knocked back by an airborne realm cultivator in his own clan. This was a great humiliation. Lin Tian's eyes were cold, and they were filled with killing intent. Bai Hongye suddenly trembled. He stared at Lin Tian's eyes and couldn't help but take a step back. This kind of killing intent was too terrifying. I promised her that I wouldn't kill anyone from the Bai clan. Otherwise, do you think you'd still be standing and talking to me? Lin Tianling said. Back then, the 3 big shots of the Bai clan had ordered him to be killed, forcing him out of the Wuji Gate and causing him to be besieged by the world. This Bai Hongye was one of the main culprits. He had already killed the other 2, Bai Taining and Bai Qingying, and only Bai Hongye was left. He originally wanted to kill this person, but in the end, he let it go for Bai Chio's sake. Arrogant, do you think you can kill me? Bai Hongye said coldly. Thinking about how he had actually taken a step back because of fear, Bai Hongye's face darkened as he directly approached Lin Tian. At this moment, the head of the Bai clan took a step forward and reached out to stop Bai Hongye. Young man, I already know what happened before. In the beginning, it was indeed the Bai clan's fault. However, you killed so many people of the Bai clan, so you didn't lose out. What? Read? 1K. The head of the Bai clan stared at Lin Tian and continued. You broke in and didn't kill a single person, so I don't blame you. What did you hide my daughter? Hand her over, and after this, I won't do anything to you. At the same time, I'll also restrain the Bai clan's disciples, and we'll call it quits. Head of the Bai clan, we can't let him go. Bai Hongye shouted. At the same time, other members of the Bai clan also spoke up, doubting the words of the head of the Bai clan. Lin Tian had caused the Bai clan to suffer great losses, not only in terms of combat strength, but also in terms of face. Now that Lin Tian had infiltrated the Bai clan, and with Bai Hongye as the leader, several elders of the Bai clan's branch families were adamant that Lin Tian must be killed. The elders of the Taishian Sacred Ground and the All-In Sacred Ground frowned in surprise. The members of the Li clan all had cold expressions as they stared at Lin Tian, their eyes brimming with killing intent. However, because this was the Bai clan, these people still had to give the head of the Bai clan some face, and did not refute like the other members of the Bai clan. Patriarch, we can't let him go. If we let him go, where will our Bai clan's face go? In the future, who will respect us? He must be killed, many of the Bai clan's branch families said. The head of the Bai clan did not respond to these people, only staring at Lin Tian. Where did you hide my daughter? The Bai clan patriarch was clad in a purple robe, exuding a powerful pressure. The Bai clan patriarch naturally knew about the matters between his daughter and Lin Tian, so he did not want to make things too difficult for Lin Tian, as that would only make his daughter feel worse. From Lin Tian's words just now, he and the other big shots were sure that after Bai Ziki took Bai Chio away, he had handed her over to Lin Tian. Now, he only hoped to find his daughter. Lin Tian was a little surprised, looking at the Bai clan patriarch. Your daughter? Yes. The Bai clan patriarch replied. The smile on Lin Tian's face grew wider, but anyone could see the mockery in his smile, so he did not try to conceal it. You're really a good father, forcing your own daughter to marry someone you don't like, and even pushing your eldest son into the godless extinction domain where no one can survive. What kind of evaluation should I give you? For the sake of the family's prosperity, you put righteousness before family? Staring at the Bai clan patriarch, he said, Pardon me for asking, but I don't know if the sibling's mother is still alive. If she is, did she slap you twice in the face? Lin Tian, you're too presumptuous. How dare you talk to our patriarch like that? You're courting death. How dare you? All around, the Bai clan members shouted angrily. The Bai clan is a great force that has existed since ancient times, overlooking the second heaven for more than 10,000 years. As the master of this branch, the Bai clan patriarch's status is extremely high. Even the leaders of the other sacred lands and clans would have to be polite when they saw him. But now, a little cultivator with no status in the Zephyr Plain actually dared to speak to the leader of the Bai clan in such a way. His words were full of sarcasm, and he directly offended him. This made many people in the Bai clan want to kill him. At this moment, even some of the big shots of the Bai clan had a gloomy face. This young man in front of them is too arrogant. The Bai clan patriarch's face sank, and he clenched his fists tightly. As the princess of the Bai clan, she is obligated to contribute to the prosperity of the Bai clan, he said in a deep voice. Lin Tianling snorted. What a joke. What does a clan exist for? To protect the future generations. Throughout the vast history of the primordial age, ancient times, the ancestors have only shed blood and buried bones to pave the way for the future generations. Who has ever heard of the descendants being sad and shed tears in exchange for the prosperity of the clan? You're using the life of your own daughter in exchange for such prosperity? Aren't you afraid that the ancestors of the Bai clan will jump out of their coffins and slap you to death? His words were cold, sonorous, and powerful. It was as if a holy sword was hissing, extremely harsh to the ears. For a moment, everyone in this place was stunned. They never thought that a 17-year-old boy with the cultivation of the airborne realm could say such words. Gradually, some people finally came back to their senses. Nonsense. The Bai family gave birth to her and raised her for 16 years. They gave her a life of luxury and a supreme status. They gave her everything. Now, why can't she contribute a little bit to the prosperity of the family? Bai Hongye stood up and said, moreover, the person she's going to marry has the solar body. With the invincible solar body as her husband, she has never been wronged. Lin Tianling tilted his head. A sword of light appeared in his right hand, and he slashed at Bai Hongye. The sword of light was the nine-spring sword, which was derived from the divine art of divination. It rang loudly, and a terrifying aura spread. Bai Hongye's expression changed, and he quickly dodged. Unfortunately, it was still too late. With a pft, an arm was sent flying, bringing with it a large amount of blood. I promised her that I wouldn't kill anyone in the Bai clan, but he stared at Bai Hongye, and a trace of hostility appeared in his eyes. His murderous intent was frighteningly strong. I still can't forgive you. No matter what, you have to die. A cold aura was intertwined on his body, and the cold light spread in all directions. He thought of Bai Chio's sad appearance, and then recalled the mischievous and lively time when they met. The strong contrast made him very irritated. At this moment, Bai Hongye's words undoubtedly made him angry. In the second heaven, Bai Chio was his best friend. That girl was sometimes capricious and naughty, but he knew that it was not because of her princess-like temper, but because she was oppressed too much by the old antiques of the family. So a little rebellious was born. Even so, the girl was always very pure and very good to him. She left the family, walked through here, and broke through there, because she knew that soon her life would no longer belong to her. She just wanted to leave some memories before that. That was all. Thinking of this, and staring at the big shots of the Bai clan who forced Bai Chio to tears, the anger in his heart couldn't help but rush to the top of his head. Old fart. He took a step forward, and the nine-spring sword in his hand slashed at Bai Hongye's neck again. Impudent! How dare you wave a butcher's knife in my Bai clan? Courting death! The big shots of the Bai clan were furious. Chapter 443. In the distance, some ordinary cultivators of the Bai family stared at Lin Tian. They all gasped, and some even couldn't help but tremble. At this moment, Lin Tian was too terrifying. That aura made everyone tremble, because if Lin Tian fought with them in such a state, who would be able to survive? You're courting death! A big shot of the Bai family shouted and reached out to grab Lin Tian at the same time. These were 3 elders of the collateral branch. They were all at the first level of the Ascension realm and were very powerful. Get lost! Lin Tianling said. With a boom, the place where Heavenly Lord Daoran comprehended the Tao rushed out from behind him and sent the 3 elders flying at the same time. The 9-spring sword hummed, and with a crisp sound, it cut through the void. Such a sword was a little terrifying. Even the Ascension realm elites were shocked, and Bai Hongye's expression changed drastically. At this moment, the Bai family master stepped out and slapped the 9-spring sword away. Enough! Where is my daughter? The Bai family master stared at Lin Tiandao. To be able to sit on the seat of the family master of an ancient family, the Bai family master was undoubtedly very powerful. His cultivation was at the 6th level of the Ascension realm. Although Lin Tian was very powerful and monstrous, it was undoubtedly impossible for him to fight against the 6th level of the Ascension realm elite with his cultivation at the 4th level of the Ascension realm. The gap was too big. Lin Tian took a step back. The 9-spring sword shone brightly. He looked at the Bai family master without fear. Let Bai Ziki out, he said. The Bai family master's face was livid. What does it have to do with you whether I let my eldest son go or not? Don't go too far. Lin Tianling smiled and tilted his head to look into the depths of the Bai family. It's okay. I'm only here today to stop you from sending that pig head into the supreme divine region. I know where the supreme divine region is. He took a step forward, not caring about the dozen powerhouses in front of him. However, if I destroy your Bai clan's ancestral tomb, don't blame me. After knocking Bai Ziki unconscious, Yonkai had searched his spiritual sea and found out that the Bai family's divine domain was located in the Bai family's ancestral tomb. Since the Bai family wanted to send Bai Ziki into the divine domain, Yonkai would directly fight his way out of the divine domain. At that time, the battlefield would move with him. If he destroyed the Bai family's ancestral grave, he would not bear any responsibility. Insolent thief! The eyes of the important figures of the Bai family were cold. The head of the Bai clan sighed. Because of Bai Chio, he didn't want to make things difficult for Lin Tian. But now that things had come to this, even if he didn't want to make things difficult for Lin Tian, even if he wanted to let Lin Tian go, the other members of the Bai clan wouldn't agree. Moreover, Lin Tian wouldn't listen to him and leave the Bai clan. Everything was already out of his control. Take him down! Someone shouted. With a rumble, several powerful auras rushed out. The few Bai clan experts all stepped forward and were about to attack. Wait! At this time, a voice sounded. The head of the Li family stepped forward and glanced at Lin Tian indifferently. He nodded at the head of the Bai clan and nodded at the Bai clan experts who were about to attack. He said, "This matter involves Miss Chiu Lur, so it's also a matter of the Li family. The Li family is the leader, so at this time, let the Li family take action. We will definitely suppress this evil thief." The head of the Li family and the others are important guests. How can we let you take action? No, definitely not. An elder of the Bai clan said, "It's fine. Our two clans will soon be in-laws, and Miss Chiu will soon become a member of the Li family. Naturally, the Li family will take action." The head of the Li family said. The elder of the Bai clan nodded in the end and said with a smile, "Then we will have to trouble the head of the Li family and the rest of the Li family." Of course, the head of the Li family said with a smile. He looked at the head of the Bai clan and asked, "In-law, what do you think?" The head of the Bai clan didn't say anything. He stared at Lin Tian and nodded. "That's good." The head of the Li family smiled and glanced at Lin Tian indifferently. Then, someone walked out from behind him. It was a middle-aged man. He was an elder of the Li family, and his name was Li Yuanda. He walked over with a murderous aura and stared coldly at Lin Tian. "Lin Tian, do you still remember what you did before? Eating, drinking, and going to the toilet. I have many things to do every day. What are you talking about?" Lin Tian replied. Li Yuanda's face turned cold. "In Flowing Moon City, my nephew died tragically at your hands. Is that so? You don't have to thank me." Lin Tiandao. A while ago, when he came out of the Master Apothecary's seclusion, several outstanding figures of the younger generation of the major forces gathered together and set up the immortal shocking formation, preparing to suppress and kill Lin Tian. Among them, there were people from the Li family, and a few of them died at his hands. It turned out that Li Yuanda's nephew was among them. "Thief!" Li Yuanda shouted angrily and rushed forward. With a boom, a divine halberd of light rushed out from behind Li Yuanda. It was the Li family's great ability, the sky-piercing halberd. Lin Tianling snorted and didn't have any other tricks. He directly threw a punch forward. Li Guhuang, who had the sun physique, had used this kind of technique before, and it was much more powerful than Li Yuanda's. Now, his cultivation had increased by 3 small levels compared to when he faced the sun physique, and his combat strength had increased greatly. Why would he care about this halberd? You dare to take it with your fist? How arrogant! Li Yuanda said coldly. This was the Li family's great ability, and it could penetrate everything. One punch is enough to deal with you. Lin Tianling's expression was very cold. He punched out with his silver fist, causing the space to rumble. With a crack, he shattered the sky-piercing halberd. Impossible! Everyone's expression changed. With just a pair of fists, he was able to shatter the grand divine skill of the Li clan's immortal-reaching realm expert. Such a physical body was truly terrifying. It was much stronger than an ordinary immortal-reaching realm expert, causing many great figures to be shocked. With a swoosh, the void rumbled. Lin Tianling stepped on the yin and yang row and instantly arrived in front of Li Yuanda. Li Yuanda's expression changed. He was shocked by Lin Tianling's speed and quickly retreated. You can't avoid it. Lin Tianling's eyes were cold. He waved his iron fist, and there were faint arcs of lightning flashing at the tip of his fist. With one punch, he shattered the void. You! Li Yuanda's heart palpitated. He took out a superior-grade supreme treasure and blocked it. However, it was useless. Lin Tianling's fist was too terrifying. It crushed and smashed everything. Crack! With a crisp sound, the upper-grade true treasure that Li Yuanda had summoned was directly smashed into pieces. After shattering the supreme treasure, Lin Tianling's footsteps became faster. He took a step forward and punched again. Li Yuanda raised his arms to block. With a poof, his arms were directly smashed. Moreover, this was not the end. Lin Tianling's fist did not slow down. It ruthlessly penetrated Li Yuanda's chest, directly shattering him into pieces and staining the ground with blood. Yuanda, the Li family leader's expression changed. This place was silent. Everyone's expression changed. An immortal realm expert was smashed to death by a punch. Beast, capture him, extract his divine soul, and suppress him forever. Li 9 elders of the Li family came to the Bai family. At this time, one of them was killed, and the eyes of the others were cold. Lin Tianling's eyes were cold, and he was fearless. He looked at everyone from the Li family as if there were two cold knives in his eyes. I heard that the Li family's son physique is also here. Tell him to come out, he said coldly. Some of the important figures of the Bai family forced Bai Qiu to marry the son physique. If he killed the son physique here, he would see how this branch could force Bai Qiu to marry him. Moreover, in the apothecary's place of seclusion, the son physique Li Guhuang attacked him for no reason and almost killed him at that time. He was also his mortal enemy, so he naturally had to kill this person. You think you can fight the son physique of the Li family? Bai Hongye said gloomily. Lin Tianling tilted his head and stared at Bai Hongye. His eyes were cold. You're everywhere. Is the son physique your father or your ancestor? The Li family didn't say anything, but you're jumping up and down over there. You! Bai Hongye was furious. Lin Tianling humiliated him like this. A cold snort sounded. A few elders of the Li family stepped forward and stared at Lin Tianling coldly. Fellow cultivator of Bai Hongye is right. You are not qualified to fight the son physique of our family. You can just die here. A mere mortal body dares to fight the sun king physique of our family? Dream on. You overestimate yourself. The people of the Li family were very arrogant. Is that so? Why do I remember that some time ago, your son physique was chased around by me, but in the end, he barely survived by luck. Staring at the people of the Li family, Lin Tianling didn't show the slightest courtesy. Why? Are you afraid that I will kill your son physique here and make your Li family the laughingstock of the second heaven? Hearing this, the faces of the several elders of the Li family turned cold. Especially the Li family patriarch, his face was the most ugly. He was Li Guhuang's father. Some time ago, Lin Tianling chased after the sun physique. He naturally knew about it, and the entire second heaven knew that it was indeed an indecent thing. Now, Lin Tianling brought up the old matter again, which undoubtedly made the Li family patriarch lose face. Killing intent surged out from his eyes. What a sharp tongue! Taking a step forward, the Li family patriarch personally took action and slapped towards Lin Tianling. The Li family patriarch was the same as the Bai family patriarch. They were both at the 6th layer of the immortal realm, and their combat power was very strong. The Li family patriarch didn't show any mercy. He used a powerful secret technique from the Li family's ancient scripture, causing a vortex to appear in the void. Let me do it. At this moment, a cold voice sounded. It was a tall figure with shoulder-length black hair and deep eyes. He looked to be about 24 years old. His whole body was surrounded by brilliance, like an ancient god. As this figure walked out, the surrounding air became scorching hot. It was as if a blazing sun had fallen into the Bai clan, causing everyone's hearts to tremble. The Li family patriarch withdrew his palm. Huang, you came out of seclusion? Li Guhuang nodded and stepped forward. I'll kill him. Staring at Lin Tianling, Li Guhuang only said this sentence, but it caused the surrounding space to tremble fiercely. I thought you would hide in your shell and not dare to come out to see me. Lin Tianling smiled. Loser this time, I won't give you any chance. Li Guhuang's expression was cold. Outside Lin Tianling's body, flames flickered, and an unprecedented terrifying aura rushed out, as if the flame god had descended to the world. If no one protects you today, your head will fall on the ground of the Bai family, he said coldly. End of this chapter. Chapter 444. The Sun King physique was very strong, and was known as the #1 person in the same generation. However, Lin Tian no longer felt the same pressure when facing him this time. The current him was much, much stronger than before, and he no longer had the slightest fear of the Sun King physique. Full text reading, 1 read, 1 CC clang. Without any superfluous words, an upper-grade sword appeared in his right hand, and he slashed with the 9th stroke of the Yang incinerating sword. With a boom, the scorching sun was blinding, almost tearing the space apart. Such a terrifying sword move caused everyone in the area to be shocked. A halberd made of divine light shot out from behind Li Guhuang, and it was covered in light mist. It slashed down at Lin Tian's 9th stroke of the Yang incinerating sword. Boom! The sword and halberd collided, and both shattered. This was a courtyard of the Bai family. Because of the short exchange between the two, the pavilion was broken into pieces. Some of the ordinary members of the Bai family were shocked. They had been surrounding Lin Tian, but now they all retreated. It was because the two of them were too powerful. It was just a simple collision, but the consequences were terrifying to the extreme. If they continued to surround Lin Tian without retreating, it was very likely that they would be implicated and die, without even knowing how they died. Li Guhuang's expression was cold. He instantly split into thousands of figures, and each of them was forming a seal. Boom! The space around them was suddenly covered by endless light. It surged like waves, pressing down on Lin Tian. This was a powerful spell. It covered all directions and sealed off everything, not giving Lin Tian any chance to escape. Good. The Li family members nodded, satisfied. The other strong men were horrified. Such a terrifying attack was not something an ordinary strong man of the celestial-reaching realm could withstand. Lin Tian's expression was cold. With a shake of his right hand, he slashed with the 10th stroke of the Yang incinerating sword. With a boom, with him as the center, the space around him turned into a sea of fire. In this sea of fire, every inch of the fire was sword chi. With a sonorous sound, it tore Li Guhuang's attack into pieces in the blink of an eye. He took a step forward and held up the barren heaven world behind him, pressing down on Li Guhuang. The barren heaven world was the king's territory, and it was created by him using the divination divine art. Its power was just as terrifying, which surprised many of the important figures of the Bai family. They had naturally heard of Lin Tian's reputation and the fact that Lin Tian could evolve the desolate demon body of the king's territory. However, at this moment, they were still shocked and in disbelief when they saw it with their own eyes. Reading a book? 1. CC Li Guhuang snorted coldly and took a step forward as well. He slapped out a blazing light with his palm. Boom! As the two forces collided, a hurricane swept out in all directions. The ground where the two of them stood cracked inch by inch, while the Bai clan's courtyard suffered a great calamity. At this moment, with the two of them at the center, all the strange stones and immortal plants within a radius of several tens of meters had been shattered, and all the pavilions had been reduced to dregs. It's been a while since we last met, but you've become much stronger. You're no longer the ant from before. Li Guhuang's expression was cold. Yet you haven't taken a single step forward. It's really unbearable. Did I leave you with a sinister heart when I chased you down that day? Lin Tian retorted. Two cold rays of light flashed in Li Guhuang's eyes, and they were like cold swords that slashed in front of him. Lin Tian tilted his head and smashed the murderous light with a slap. The two of them were 20 feet apart, and their domineering auras collided. Although they didn't move, the two domineering true essence fluctuations were like thousands of soldiers and horses clashing. There were actually real electric arcs flashing out, and sizzling sounds could be heard. Crack, crack, crack. The ground continued to crack, and a hurricane spread out with the two of them as the center, forcing many ordinary cultivators of the Bai clan to retreat again. Go to the floating battlefield. A big shot of the Bai clan yelled. That person made a move, and a huge ring slowly appeared in the sky above the Bai clan's residence. At the same time, another big shot of the Bai clan took action and activated several array patterns to protect the surrounding space. The battle between Lin Tian and Li Guhuang was too shocking. If the two of them were allowed to fight in the Bai clan's residence, they would probably destroy the Bai clan's residence. Lin Tian raised his head, and with a shake of his feet, he soared into the sky. He came to the Bai clan to bring Bai Ziki out and stop Bai Ziki from entering the godless extinction domain. There was no need to deliberately destroy it. Li Guhuang's eyes were cold as he stepped into the sky. Boom! At this moment, a terrifying fist light descended from the sky, almost shattering the space, and brushed past Li Guhuang's cheek. One book 1, K, N, S, H, U, C, C. Specks of blood floated in the air, and it was a shocking sight. Despicable. Everyone in the Li clan glared at Lin Tian with cold eyes. Lin Tian stood at the edge of the floating battlefield with a ruthless smile on his face, and he hooked his finger at Li Guhuang. A cold light flashed in Li Guhuang's eyes. With a wave of his hand, tens of thousands of light swords rushed into the sky with terrifying killing intent. Clang, clang, clang. The sound of the swords was ear-piercing, and they rose into the sky like a meteor shower. Li Guhuang followed behind the tens of thousands of light swords. Like a god or an immortal, he reached 10 feet above the floating battlefield and pushed down with his palm. The tens of thousands of light swords screamed together, and like real divine swords, they whistled and fell toward Lin Tian. It was a terrifying scene. The tens of thousands of light swords gathered together and covered the entire sky. Some of the immortal-reaching realm experts were frightened by the scene. They secretly thought that Li Guhuang was worthy of being called the #1 person of his generation with the sun physique. This kind of attack was too terrifying, and it could probably kill a third heaven immortal-reaching realm expert directly. Because the two of them were on the floating battlefield in the sky, the scene was also seen by the cultivators outside the Bai clan. Suddenly, all of them widened their eyes. These people did not see Lin Tian and Li Guhuang's figures, but the tens of thousands of light swords were very obvious. Even if they were dozens of miles away, they could still see it clearly. Everyone was shocked. This? Who is attacking? How can he summon so many killing swords? An immortal-reaching realm expert? Many people were shocked. This kind of dense light swords was really shocking and made people's hearts tremble. Clang, clang, clang. The ear-piercing sound of swords continued, resounding through the 9 heavens. Li Guhuang stood higher in the floating battlefield and looked down at Lin Tian. The killing swords were like the Milky Way. This is the divine spirit sword of 10,000 killing? The big shots of the Bai clan were shocked. Yes, it is. The head of the Bai clan nodded with a smile. Suddenly, there was a burst of gasps around, and everyone was shocked. The divine spirit sword of 10,000 killing was one of the 3 core supernatural powers in the ancient scripture of the Li clan. Once it was used, it could summon tens of thousands of killing swords to seal off every inch of space around it, killing immortals and gods. It was extremely terrifying. This kind of supernatural power was very strong and difficult to cultivate. Ordinary 5th heaven immortal-reaching realm experts could not control it. But now, Li Guhuang was only at the 7th heaven of the Imperial Sky Realm, but he had cultivated this precious skill to such a level, which really made the big shots tremble. The Sun King physique is really terrifying. The elder of the Taishian sacred ground sighed. Above the sky, The light swords were like a sea, and in an instant, they blocked all of Lin Tian's escape routes. In the next moment, the dense light swords slashed down together. "I'm going to end you." Li Guhuang's eyes were cold, like a god looking down at the heavens. "Just you?" Lin Tianling said. As his words fell, the clanging sound was endless, and it sounded outside his body. Precious weapons rushed out one after another, all shining with a cold light, and in the blink of an eye, they surrounded his body. Among these precious weapons, there were sabers, swords, shields, halberds, and staffs. There were all kinds of precious weapons that existed in the world. There were a total of 136 precious weapons. Swish, swish, swish. The precious weapons appeared, and they slashed in all directions, crushing all the light swords that rushed over. Weapon control technique. Originally, he could only control 108 precious weapons at the same time, but not long ago, he had reached the fourth sky of the Zephyr realm, and his cultivation had improved so he could control more weapons. At this time, he summoned 136 precious weapons, which were real physical weapons, much more powerful than ordinary light swords. They protected him while slashing at the sky. Rumor has it that this thief has mastered the weapon control technique of the upper heavenly region. It seems to be true. It's that precious skill. The Li family people's eyes were cold. The divine spirit sword technique was an attack that sealed off all directions. Once locked in, there was no way to escape because there were too many light swords, and it was difficult to dodge. But now, Lin Tian used the weapon control technique, and with the 136 precious weapons protecting him, he slashed in all directions, breaking all the light swords. He was simply the natural enemy of the divine spirit sword technique. Swish, swish, swish. As Lin Tian used the weapon control technique, the dense precious weapons slashed in all directions, shattering the killing swords. Li Guhuang's eyes were cold. He pressed down with his right hand, and the dense light swords merged into one, turning into a divine light sword. The sword was 10 feet long and 3 feet wide, and the light was dazzling. Suddenly, a terrifying wave swept out, shaking the clouds in the sky and dispersing them instantly. 10,000 swords in one. He has actually cultivated this precious skill to such a level, some strong people exclaimed. At this moment, even the Li family leader was shocked. 10,000 swords in one was the final form of the divine spirit sword technique. Even he could not control this level, but he did not expect Li Guhuang to have cultivated this core ability to such a high level. Beside him, the other Li family people were inexplicably excited, clenching their fists. Good, 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 someone shouted. The Li family had such a supreme being in this generation. In the future, they would be invincible, truly ruling over the second heaven. Lin Tian stared at the huge divine sword above his head, and his eyes were intertwined with cold light. He raised his right hand, and the 136 precious weapons clanked and quickly arranged themselves in a specific position. He was a matrix manipulator, and he had already reached the 6th level. At this moment, he used the 136 precious weapons to form an offensive matrix. He gathered all the power of the precious weapons into one point and rushed directly towards the huge sword that was falling from the sky. Boom! The two collided, and for a moment, the wind and clouds surged, and the destructive force spread in all directions. More than half of the 136 precious weapons shattered under this collision, turning into fragments and falling to the ground. The divine spirit sword technique was really too terrifying. However, there was still a small portion of the precious weapons that remained. Among them, the precious weapons of the 3 sects were the most frightening. A blade, a sword, and a shield, each of them flickered with a sinister light as they broke through everything and rushed towards Li Guhuang. This is 3 quasi-immortal weapons. Damn it! The Li family experts were shocked. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.